Counties Radio.
It's 6 o'clock. I'm Simon Oxley. The headlines: government under pressure over RAF drone killings, Hertfordshire man's refugee aid warning, and Tring School criticised over short skirt policy.
BBC Three Counties Radio.
The government's facing calls to give more details of the circumstances surrounding the killing of 2 British men in an RAF drone strike in Syria last month. The Prime Minister told Parliament yesterday that one of the men had been actively plotting attacks in Britain after joining Islamic State militants. Labour says ministers should publish the legal advice on which the decision was made. Meanwhile, a Watford man who's just returned from Calais, where he delivered British donations to refugees, is warning others against doing the same. Mike Jackson said his car was surrounded by refugees. More from Nicola Hazler.
Since the photos of 3-year-old Iain Kurdi appeared in the press, donations for the refugees have increased dramatically. Many British people have driven to Calais to take carloads of clothing and supplies, but the charities there say the disorganised way that aid is arriving is causing chaos and leading to refugees fighting over the donations. Mike Jackson and his family, who went to Calais on Friday, said it dehumanises the migrants and that the most needy aren't getting the donations.
David Cameron has suffered his first Commons defeat since the general election victory in May. Nearly 40 Tory MPs rebelled against an attempt to relax the rules on what ministers and civil servants can say and do during the forthcoming referendum campaign on Europe. The rebels included Buckinghamshire's Steve Baker and Cheryl Gillan, Hertfordshire MPs Anne Main and Stephen McPartland, and Bedfordshire's Nadine Dorries. But the Europe Minister and Aylesbury MP David Liddington insisted the proposed changes were fair.
I believe that the package is balanced, it is fair and will assure a referendum that is fair and seen by all sides to be fair and in which the whole country can have confidence.
Yeah. 3 people were injured in a 2-car collision which closed the A5 in Milton Keynes yesterday evening. The emergency services, including an air ambulance, were called just before 6 p.m. to the southbound carriageway between Stacey Bushes and central Milton Keynes. One injured man had to be cut free by firefighters. Another man and a woman were also hurt. Parents say a Hertfordshire school has gone the wrong way about enforcing its uniform policy after it sent home more than 100 girls because their skirts were too short. But Tring School has defended its decision. Jessica Cooper reports.
One parent told us their daughter was sent home with no work to do and told not to return until her uniform was sorted. Another said the school had gone too far. Tring School says parents were told incorrectly dressed students would have to improve their uniform before attending lessons. Shops who supply the skirts say they're now running out of stock, and in future they'll be talking to suppliers to make longer skirts.
In sport, Andy Murray is out of the US Open after losing in 4 sets to South Africa's Kevin Anderson. The weather dry with sunny spells, a maximum temperature 17 degrees Celsius. And you can get the latest news and sport online at bbc.co.uk/3 counties.
It's playing. It's playing. Oh, is it? Oh, now hang on a minute. Now it's playing. Oh, blimey. It's playing.
Who salutes but no one ever does.
Now, a wave of goodwill towards refugees camping in Calais, Turkey and Syrian borders has led to appeal after appeal for donations here in the three counties. Now, while the wrangling over how to deal with the situation continues in Westminster, small charities and private individuals have been loading up lorries and heading across the Channel. But the word coming from those coordinating aid efforts in Calais is they might be doing more harm than good. Tifa Givian is from Luton, has organised a convoy which will leave for Calais in the next couple of days. Morning, Tifa. Why are you doing this?
Morning. We're trying to do our part. We feel like this is our responsibility. This is something that we need to give back. We've got the support of all the Luton community, so really we're going to represent them there.
I bet you've not got the support of all the Luton communities.
No, absolutely not.
Yeah.
No, we're really focusing on the positive more than anything. And to be honest with you, Luton and all the surrounding areas, we've had overwhelming support. We've had people from all sorts of different backgrounds, from all different walks of life, coming along and helping us whenever they can.
So what are you doing exactly?
Okay, so we're in touch with the camps at the moment, with the charities that are working over there. You were absolutely right. They are really, really overwhelmed. What we're actually doing, we're taking some of the essentials that can't actually be donated. So some hygiene material, we've got some things for some of the women out there, soaps, toothbrush, toothpaste. These are some of the things we've purchased so we can take. It's not taking a lot of space for us to take these things. And again, we have asked permission for the camps, the charity at the camps. So we're not just kind of heading there. I know a lot of people are doing that because they're so desperate to help, but I do really want to urge people to get in touch with the people actually out there.
So how does it work then? You get all this stuff. What, do you load it up in the back of a van and just drive to Calais?
Yeah, that's quite literally it.
And then, so you're speaking. I don't know how these camps work. Is there kind of like someone who is in charge of the camp, or are there various charities that are assigned to these camps? How does it work?
Yeah, okay, so that's pretty much how it's working. There's a number of charities on the camp right now. They're taking on different roles. There's specific charities giving out just food. There's certain charities that are giving out clothing. The warehouses are kind of full at the moment, which is why they're asking people not to bring aid and kind of leave it there.
Right.
They don't have enough volunteers to be handing these out and distributing, and obviously it's causing a chaos.
And some people have said that you might, not you specifically, but people going over there and helping might be doing more harm than good. What do you say to that?
I've actually been in touch with a few people who have been out there and who are actually currently at the Calais refugee camp. The reason that they're telling people this, now we experienced this a little bit during our fundraiser. We had asked people to come down and bring a certain amount of things. People were really, really kind. They were bringing vanfuls and truckfuls, and what they didn't realise is once they dropped it off, we had to move that to another point, and we just didn't have enough volunteers. So really, we kind of got a taste of what they've got at the camp. People are being so kind, bringing everything down, but then it's a matter of what we're going to do with all these donations afterwards. So really, organisation is really important. Communication is absolutely vital. I mean, I know people are really, really keen to go as soon as possible, but guys, please don't make your journeys down unless you've actually spoken to the charities. These are the people actually out there. These are the people who've been putting their time in. Get a confirmation with them before you head down there.
Atifa, so when are you going to Calais?
We are leaving Thursday midnight so that we can catch the first ferry on Friday. It should be around 4 o'clock. So everybody's kind of napping, resting during the day, so we can leave around midnight. Right. We should be able to get there about 7 o'clock in the morning on Friday. Well,
listen, I wish you the very best of luck, and I hope it goes very well.
Thank you.
Thanks a lot, Tifa. Take care. Bye-bye.
I've got a friend, he's a purebred killing machine. He said he's waited his whole damn life for this. I knew him well when he was 17. Now he's a man, he'll be dead by Christmas. And so everybody's going to war, but we don't know what we're fighting for. could be so worthy. If love is a drug, I guess we're all sober. If hope is a song, I guess it's all over. How to have faith when faith is a crime. I don't want to die. If God's on our side, then God is a joker. Sleep on the job, his children fall over. Running out through the door and straight to the sky. I don't want to die. For every man who wants to rule the world, there'll be a man who just wants to be free. What do we learn, but what should not be learned? Too late to find a cure for this disease. So everybody's going to war, but we don't know what we're fighting for. Don't tell me it's a worthy cause. No cause could be so worthy. If love is a drug, I guess we're all sober. If hope is a song, I guess it's all over. How to have faith when faith is a crime. I don't want to die. If God's on our side, then God is a joker. Asleep on the job, his children fall over. Running out through the door and straight to the sky. I don't want to die. So everybody's going to war, but we don't know what we're fighting for. Don't tell me it's a worthy cause. No cause could be so worthy. If love is a drug, I guess we're all sober. If hope is a song, I guess it's all over. How to have faith when faith is a crime. I don't want to die. If God's on our side, then God is a joker. Asleep on the job, his children fall over. Running out through the door and straight to the sky. I don't want to die. Don't want to die. I don't want to die. I've got a friend, he's a purebred killing machine. I think he might be dead by Christmas.
Travel news for beds, cards and bugs.
BBC Three Counties Radio.
It's quiet so far this morning. On the M1, though, there are still the roadworks between junction 12 for Flitwick and 11 for Dunstable in both directions. It's not causing any delays at the moment, but it could cause some queues later on. In Aylesbury on the A41, there's roadworks at Gatehouse Way, which again could cause some delays later on. And in Neasden on the North Circular Road, it's starting to build up between the M1 at the Staples Corner flyover westbound towards Wembley. Looking at the train departure boards, the 6:25 service from Stevenage to London King's Cross has been cancelled. Samantha Breath, BBC Three Counties Radio.
Thank you, Sammy. 6:16. It's Tuesday, the 8th of September. I'm Iain Lee. These are your headlines on BBC Three Counties Radio. The government's facing calls to give more details about the killing of 2 British men in an RAF drone strike in Syria last month. A Watford man who's returned from Calais, where he delivered donations to refugees, is warning others against doing the same. And parents say Tring School has gone the wrong way about enforcing its uniform policy after it sent home more than 100 girls because their skirts were too short.
If you've missed any of the programmes here on BBC Three Counties Radio, you've missed things like this.
So we're now in 1996. The Stone Roses get back together to headline the festival. They end up playing their worst gig of all time.
But there is a way you can hear it all again.
Warning, you are losing vast days of your life to the after effects of heavy drinking.
bbc.co.uk/Three Counties Radio.
You've been crowned the first ever World Masters champion in the over 80s category for the Scottish Highlander Games.
That's right, yeah.
Allowing you to listen to what you missed.
What a way to open a theatrical hour here on BBC Three Counties Radio.
bbc.co.uk/Three Counties Radio.
Taking a shower, you can borrow my bathroom. And when I'm asleep, I dream you're moving next week. I crumple the note and said to put inside my shoebox supplies. It's under my bed, it's never been read. It's in with my school stuff and my mum never cleans that from my first little bib. When I still wore a bib to my latest attempt at pretending I'm someone who's not 17 and doesn't know what you mean. But talk just a single, I'm also still to know my shoebox supply. Shoebox supply. Did somebody tell you this is how it's supposed to be? Or then you just find it you don't want any more from me? Was it something I said, or was it something you read that's making me think that I should never have come here? I can offer you lies, I can tell you goodbye, I can tell you I'm sorry, but I can't tell the truth, dear. And what if I could? Would it do any good? You'll still never get to see the contents of my shoebox. The shoebox supply. The shoebox supply. So 1990, and it's 1994. Leave this world behind me 'cause you don't want me anymore.
I'll do a little early on the pre-fade, I believe they're called. There we are. 03459 455 555. Now, on Friday, we started getting calls from the parents of girls at Tring School after 100 girls were sent home for breaking school uniform rules. Yesterday, it happened again. I don't know. Why don't you follow the school rules? The problem, the skirts were too short. I don't get this story, Justin. You're not following the school rules, then you're breaking the school rules.
Well, the thing is, yesterday I went to go meet Carolyn Saunders. She runs a shop in Tring called Alma. Now, this is the shop the school recommends that parents buy the skirts from. So what I did, I went into the shop yesterday and I actually tried on one of these skirts, which the girls have been sent home for.
And why did you do that?
Because I wanted to see whether it was knee length or not, okay? No other reasons behind it. I'm about, 6'3", and people can see the picture on social media. I put the skirt on, and that skirt for me was clearly knee length. So this is why people are so upset, because they're saying that they've gone out and they've bought the correct skirts for their children, and they're being sent home even though the skirts are knee length. That's why people are upset about it. Obviously, some people may be rolling them up, but the skirt that I tried on yesterday, on me, was definitely knee length. I'm 6 foot plus. The girls aren't going to be that tall. So I spoke to Carolyn Saunders in the shop yesterday, and this is what happened. Right, purely for research purposes, I've just tried on the longest skirt that you've got. Now, that is a 22-inch skirt. That's correct, isn't it?
Yes, it is.
Now, our listeners can see the picture on social media. That, to me, was knee length, and I'm around 6'3", 6'4". So what is a knee length skirt?
I believe the school are looking for the skirt to come halfway down the kneecap.
so that it is below the top of the knee rather than touching.
The school recommends to parents that they buy their uniform from this shop. Now, what would you say to anybody who says, well, they've all been sent home because you've given the wrong skirts, this is your fault?
The majority of skirts that have been sent home for weren't purchased from us. They were purchased elsewhere. The skirts purchased from us were the touching the top of the kneecap that have been sent home.
And this is the thing, a parent could come into the shop and their child might not even be here.
That's right. We have sold quite a few skirts where the child hasn't actually tried them on in front of us.
So how many have actually been returned here since last week then?
We've had approximately 15 of our skirts returned, and we have sold around 400 skirts in total.
400?
Yes.
Have you had quite a lot of parents in here who have been very angry about what's been going on? Because they've been phoning us very angry. They must have been in your shop also very angry about what's been happening.
The parents that have been in here have been okay with us because they understand it's not our fault and that we are doing everything we can to help them find the correct skirt.
Gosh. I really think this is not a story at all. I just don't think this is a story. People broke school rules, they got sent home.
Yeah, but have they though? That's the thing. You know.
Well, obviously they have. They have.
But if the school are saying, go to this shop to buy the school uniform, and that's what they've done...
Well, you double check it. I just don't think this is a story. I just don't think this is a story at all.
OK, boss.
All right, just cheers. Thank you very much indeed. I just think, you follow the school rules. Simple as that, isn't it?
With his fool's gold stacked up all around him, from a killing in the market on the war, the children looking Midas there as they found him in his counting house where nothing counts but more. And he thought he heard the echoes of a penny whistle band and the laughter from a distant caravan, and the brightly painted line of circus wagons in the sand fading through the door into summer. With his travel logs of maybe next year places as a trade-in for a name upon the door, and he pays for it with years he cannot buy back with his tears when he finds out there's been no one keeping score. And he thought he heard the echoes of a penny whistle band and the laughter from a distant caravan, and the brightly painted line of circus wagons in the sand fading through the door into summer. Yes, he thought he heard the echoes of a penny whistle band and the laughter from a distant caravan, and the brightly painted line of circus wagons in the sand fading through the door into summer. Fading through the door into fading through the door into summer. Fading through the door into summer.
This is Iain Lee
on BBC Three Counties Radio.
I'm a one-way motorway. I'm a road that drives away and follows you light shining. I'm a wild light, blinding bright, burning all alone. It's times like these you learn to live again. It's times like these you give and give again. It's times like these you learn to love again. It's times like these, time and time again. I'm a new day rising. I'm a brand new sky to hang the stars upon tonight. I'm a little divided. Do I stay or run away and leave it all behind? It's times like these you learn to live again. It's times like these you give and give again. It's times like these you learn to love again. It's times like these, time and time again. It's times like these you learn to live again. It's times like these you give and give again. It's times like these you learn to love again. It's times like these, time and time again.
Travel news for beds, cards, and bugs.
BBC Three Counties Radio.
On the M25 anti-clockwise, the exit slip road at junction 20 for Kings Langley has been partially blocked because of a car fire. That's causing queues back to junction 21 for the M1. In Easton on the North Circular Road, there are delays westbound between the M1 at the Staples Corner flyover towards Wembley. And in Welwyn Garden City on Hertford Road, there's a lane closed there for roadworks between the A1M and Hertford Road, so that could cause some delays. And it's not looking too bad at the moment, though. On the train departure boards, the 6:41 service from Stevenage to London King's Cross is delayed. Samantha Bruff, BBC Three Counties Radio.
Across beds, hearts, and bugs.
This is BBC Three Counties Radio.
It's 6:30. I'm Simon Oxley. The government's facing calls to give more details of the circumstances surrounding the killing of 2 British men in an RAF drone strike in Syria last month. Labour says ministers should publish the legal advice on which the decision was made. Meanwhile, a Watford man who's just returned from Calais, where he delivered British donations to refugees, is warning others against doing the same. 3 people were injured in a 2-car collision which closed the A5 in Milton Keynes yesterday evening, and parents say a Hertfordshire school has gone the wrong way about enforcing its uniform policy after it sent home more than 100 girls because their skirts were too short. But Tring School has defended its decision.
Three Counties Sport.
BBC Three Counties Radio.
Andy Murray has suffered his earliest Grand Slam exit for 5 years, losing his 4th round tie at the US Open in 4 sets against South Africa's 15th seed Kevin Anderson.
Obviously managed to get the 3rd set, and then the beginning of the 4th set, obviously when you win a set like that, obviously the beginning of the next set is very important. I had an opportunity in his first service game, didn't manage to get it, and then he served very well after that.
In the women's singles, the British number 2, Johanna Konta, lost in straight sets to the Czech player Petra Kvitova. Victory for the Republic of Ireland, a draw for Northern Ireland and defeat for Scotland in last night's European Championship qualifiers. The Republic stay in contention for a playoff place after beating Georgia 1-0. Northern Ireland scored a stoppage time equaliser to draw 1-1 at home to Hungary. 2 points from their final 2 games will seal qualification. And Watford's Iain was a second-half substitute as Scotland lost 3-2 at home to Germany. Scotland need to take at least 4 points from their last 2 games to have any chance of a playoff place. Here's manager Gordon Strachan.
We play like that, same determination, with a wee bit of luck. When you play the world champ, you need a wee bit of luck. You don't need deflections coming off somebody's foot creeping the back of the net. And they might have thought to themselves, we've not got any luck tonight, but they went through that pain barrier. So we're still in this.
Tonight, England, who have already qualified, host Switzerland at Wembley. Watford midfielder Valon Barami is set to feature for the visitors. The Wales fullback Lee Halfpenny is out of the Rugby World Cup after rupturing knee ligaments during Saturday's win over Italy. And England's cricketers face Australia in the third one-day international at Old Trafford today. Australia lead the 5-match series 2-0. BBC Three Counties News and Sport. The next full bulletin at 7.
I have been seeking P.F. Sloan, but no one knows where he has gone. No one ever heard the song that boy set winging. Oh yeah. Now you might sigh and you might moan and sweat about the skin and bone. Yeah, but you just smile and read the Rolling Stone while he continued singing. Oh yeah, now listen to him singing. No, 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 don't sing this song. No, don't sing this song. No, 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 don't sing this song. It belongs to be a song. Oh. My old friend Trigger up and died, so now they got him stuffed and dried. You know that tan his hide, his cruising body staring glassy-eyed out through the parlor door. Oh yeah, the London Bridge was finally found. They moved it to another town, and now all the people gather round to watch the bridge fall down. But I don't think it will no more. Oh no, now listen to it singing. No, 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 don't sing this song. No, don't sing this song. No, 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 don't sing this song. It belongs to be a song. Oh, from now Nixon's coming, bound to stay. He's taken all my sins away. Put it on the news today. It set my ears to ringing, yeah. 'Cause the last time I saw P.F. Sloan, he was summer burned, he was winter blown. You know he turned the corner all alone, but he continued, yes he continued, oh he continued singing, yeah. Sing this song. Don't sing that song. No, no. No, 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 no. Don't sing this song. It belongs to P.F. Sloan. Oh,
So we went to Legoland yesterday. Jesus, that's expensive. And his name was called out many, many times during the day. Flippin' heck, it's expensive. We had 2 free tickets, and it was me and my eldest and my youngest, the 2 children. And for the 3-year-old, it's £45.
Is that a reduced thing for a 3-year-old?
I don't know. I mean,
the fact they're charging 3-year-olds in the first place.
A ticket for a 3-year-old. Well, they're mainly 3-year-olds there, so that's where the money is, isn't it? So I've got this ticket for £45. Sorry, would you like a parking ticket as well? Well, yeah, I've parked. That'll be another £5. It's £50. I hadn't even got in, and I had 2 free tickets, and I'd spent £50.
But you could build a Legoland out of Lego.
For that?
For less than that.
Probably.
No, do you know how expensive Lego is?
Well expensive.
Is
It's not for kids.
Yeah,
It's not for kids.
it's well expensive. My boy is obsessed with this. I hate Lego. I hate it with a passion. I think it's sinful. And but I beat the system. We took a packed lunch.
Boom.
Remember this time, and we took. Daddy, can we have a hot dog? No, you can have a sandwich from Tesco's. Have you? Kelly's
Lego. I've just literally
seen the
googled how
price.
much is Lego.
Yeah.
Wow.
I mean, the good sets.
It's expensive, isn't it? And you want to get a poxy little set that's got like a Ninja Man in it and a bike. That's £11.
Yeah.
That's £11.
Outrageous.
And it's made out of like 6 bricks. It's a scandal. And how do they make it appeal to girls? Do the same but pink.
Well, this is
Stickle bricks. Do you remember stickle bricks?
Yes.
Yeah.
How
We're
much?
not doing that phone-in.
No, I'm just saying how much is stickle
We're
bricks?
doing the stickle brick. How much are the stickle bricks?
How much are stickle
03459 455 555. My youngest is obsessed with Lego Friends, which is traditionally associated with girls, but I'm glad he is because I don't see gender differentiation in toys, but it is a girl's toy.
Because they come with pink bricks and puppies.
And they're girls. And it's boring. Just Lego's boring. And we went and looked at, there's a Star Wars Lego thing. So 2 of my least favourite things. It's Star Wars and it's Lego in one dark, migraine-inducing cavern that you have to wander through. And there are lights flashing and it's just, oh, for God's sakes, can you stop? And why we went yesterday because I thought, right, well, look, all the kids will be back at school. No, none of the kids were back at school. They were all at Legoland yet. If you think your kids were at school yesterday, check their pockets for stray bits of Lego because they were at Legoland. It was horrible. It was busy and it was packed and it was horrible. And the Lego... Because when I remember when it was Windsor Safari Park, my sister broke her thumb there on a bench. I remember it very well. And I remember there being a bear. That's all I remember. My wife used to... her parents... house still does, backs onto Legoland and used to back onto Windsor Safari Park, and she would have the giraffes looking over her garden, looking over into her garden. And one day at school, when she was young, they had to write about your pets, and she wrote, "Oh, we've got 2 giraffes," and she got in really, really big trouble. Thank you, Justin. The papers have arrived.
It's imagination. If
She got in really big trouble for saying that you've not got giraffes as pets because we've got giraffes in the back garden.
Did she say, are you having a giraffe?
No.
Oh, that would have been good.
Yeah, it would have been words.
It would have been the words.
You can go through the papers, Kath, too. You can find it. They've just arrived. No thanks to the paper delivery service. I use the term paper delivery service ironically, because there ain't no delivering like an S-Club delivering.
Not even that.
So it was expensive. I was there for 5.5 hours. 5.5 hours. I was shattered. Went straight home. Yeah, it was straight home. But the boys in the car, we drove, and 5.5 hours of Legoland madness.
And they've been before, right?
Oh yeah, we went and saw.
What's to see again?
We went and saw the pirate show. You make me mad. I want my money. 2 of the lines from the pirate show. How do I know it so well? Because I've seen it a million flipping times. And the pirate show's brilliant, right? It's like in water, and there's a lighthouse and stuff, and they have pirate fights, and they do stunts and stuff, and it's brilliant. But I've seen it a million times. And they can we go see the pirate show? Oh. And we got there late, so I had to hold them both. I'm holding this, and they're massive. So one is on the shoulders, one is in the arms. I want my mummy. You make me mad. Oh, so boring. But anyway, so it was exhausting and expensive, and I don't even like rides. Since going on a ferry in Greece, I think I've dislodged my Shatner's bassoon, which is the part of the brain that affects balance. Because since going on this ferry, I think it's called Shatner's bassoon. Since going on the ferry,
Is that not an album?
I don't know. It's a prog rock group. Since going on the ferry, I can't go on anything without feeling seasick. And we went on like this really gentle boat ride through like fairy stories. I don't know how Legoland have got the rights to some of those Disney characters. But we went through, and I was there feeling awful, feeling absolutely queasy. We went on on the Duplo train. The Duplo train is for toddlers. And we went on that, and I felt, we only went round twice, and I thought, flipping it, I feel...
Too much? Too much
And some
for
of
you?
those people that work there, guys, you know, fair play. Well, I know all about a girl called Alice who works there and how she's facing disciplinary action.
Really?
Because two of the staff members in front of me at said ride were being very indiscreet with their conversations about Alice.
What's she done?
Well, do you know, I don't know what she's done, but she either needs to admit that she's done it or just style it out.
Two ways of approaching this one.
Those are the two techniques that are being put forward by... Anyway, so we found a new song, okay? The boys and I have got a new song, and it's brilliant. You know this song. It's brilliant, but when you've had it... The thing with kids is you hear a song... Can we hear it again? Can we hear it again? Can we hear it again? When you've heard it 1,000 times, and now this is the song. If I get a phone call later on from my boys, they'll phone up, they'll sing this, and then they'll hang up. Right?
How do you know it's them?
It's a really good song,
but they're ruining it.
Well, it is actually quite an irritating song anyway.
Oh.
I mean, it's irritating, but it's brilliant. But just imagine two boys singing this all flipping day.
So many monkeys in the Daily Mail, and all of them coming anonymously so they leave no trail. Never thought I'd have an admirer from overseas, but someone is sending me stationery filled with chimpanzees. Some chimps in swimsuits, some chimps are swinging from a vine, some chimps in jackboots, some chimps that wish they could be my Starsky and Hutch chimps. A chimp who's sitting on the can, a pair of Dutch chimps who send their love from Amsterdam. Another bus ride with chimpanzees, and everyone is best to me. Another postcard with chimpanzees, and everyone is best to me. If I had to guess, I'd say the monkey sender thinks it's great. He's sending me, maybe she's sending me just to see me get irate. I'm losing sleep, and it's gonna be keeping me up all night. I thought it was funny, but now I got money on a monkey fight. Some chimps in hard hats, chimps are working on a chain gang. Some chimps who love cats, burning rubber in a Mustang. A birthday wishing chimp, a chimp in black like a goth, a going fishing chimp, a British chimp in the bar. Another postcard with chimpanzees, and everyone is addressed to me. Another postcard with chimpanzees, and everyone is addressed to me. Somebody follow me, even though I'm back to move my home. No matter what, they come and they come, they won't leave me alone. Another monkey in the mail can make me lose my mind, but look at me shuffling through the stack until I finally find some chimps in swimsuits, some chimps in jack boots, some chimps in hard hats, some chimps who love cats. I got some shaved chimps, that's chimps devoid of any hair. I got the brave chimps dressed up in the women's underwear. Another postcard with chimpanzees, and everyone is addressed to me. Everyone is addressed to me. Everyone is addressed to me. Another postcard with chimpanzees, and everyone is addressed to me. Another postcard with chimpanzees, and everyone is addressed to me. Another postcard with chimpanzees, and hard hats, some chimps who love cats, and everyone is addressed to me. I got the pretty chimps dressed up in the women's underwear. Another postcard with chimpanzees.
Imagine this 68... I mean, it's great. It killed the Bare Naked Ladies' career. They told me that themselves, but 68 times on a loop. Sweet Lord.
Travel news for beds, cards and bugs.
BBC Three Counties Radio.
There are queues on the M25 anti-clockwise approaching junction 20 for Kings Langley from junction 21 for the M1. That's because the exit slip road has been partially blocked at junction 20 for the A41, and that's by a car fire. On the North Circular Road, there are queues between the M1 at the Staples Corner flyover towards Wembley, and in St Albans, looking at the speed sensors, it's looking a little bit slow where the roadworks are. The North Orbital Road has a lane closed between Watling Street at the Park Street roundabout and London Road at the London Coney roundabout. It's also looking a bit busy on Victoria Street in both directions, and in Hitchin, Fish Ponds Road is still closed in both directions between Bedford Road and Burton Avenue, which might cause some delays in and around Hitchin later on. On the train departure board, so there's no problems at the moment. Samantha Bruff, BBC Three Counties Radio.
Thank you, Sammy. 6:47. It's Tuesday, the 8th of September. I'm Iain Lee. These are your headlines on BBC Three Counties Radio. The government's facing calls to give more details about the killing of 2 British men in an RAF drone strike in Syria last month. A Watford man who's just returned from Calais, where he delivered donations to refugees, is warning others against doing the same. And parents say Tring School has gone the wrong way about enforcing its uniform policy after it sent home more than 100 girls because their skirts were too short.
Beds, Herts and Bucks weather.
BBC Three Counties Radio.
Good morning. We have a bit of cloud around, at least at first this morning, but gradually it should start to thin and break and we'll see some spells of sunshine. A similar day to yesterday, really, with a maximum temperature of around 18 Celsius if we get the sunshine for long enough. Overnight tonight, again cloudy, 1 or 2 breaks in it, minimum temperature 10 Celsius. And for tomorrow, we pick up an easterly flow. So this drier air coming from the continent breaks up the cloud a little further. So it is going to feel warmer and we're going to get some more sunshine. 19 Celsius maximum for Wednesday, and that's your forecast.
Every weekday morning.
Good morning, Jonathan.
Morning. Do you think it's right to tell 1 million disabled people they should get off benefits and find a job?
Have your say on today's big phone-in.
People who are going to be a nuisance are going to be a nuisance regardless of whether there are things to do.
Is it true that people over the age of 65 drink far too much booze?
The JVS show fights for your rights and tackles your consumer problems.
Waited and the receipt came out, but the cash didn't.
It's become a problem of late because obviously the trees got bigger as we got here.
We couldn't shut the French windows. It would appear that they'd buckled.
I had a phone call from my daughter saying if we don't get off the train, they're going to hand us over to the British Transport Police.
The JVS show, weekdays from 9 on BBC Three Counties Radio.
Morning, Liam.
Good morning, Ian.
I just don't get the point of Lego, Liam.
Well, I can't comment on that.
You can comment on Lego. Why? Are you an heir to the Lego legacy? The Lego... the Legacy?
I didn't have Lego, so some of my friends had it.
You never had it?
No, I had a mechanical set.
I see. You were proper building and not pretend building. Good for you. Good for you.
Things with Lego.
Liam, you've called in about this skirt story that everybody is frothing about here, and I kind of think,
Well, I think, first of all, you're quite right when you say that, the school rules are the school rules. But I can't remember anything like that in the 1960s when I was at
And look how the 70s turned out.
Well, yes. I think, as I said in the text that I sent earlier, it might have helped the boys concentrate a little bit more.
Oh, yeah, there's loads of reasons for it. And part of it is that, how old are these kids at Tring School? What is it?
Well, I think they're sort of 13 upwards,
Right, yeah. 13-year-old boys have got one thing on their mind, and it's let's say 14, 15-year-old, maybe not quite 13. It's girls. It's girls. So that's one of the reasons.
It doesn't matter what they're wearing, does it? If they're wearing trousers, we're looking at the shape of their bottoms.
Yeah, but shorts...
Who are we dressing for?
Well, yeah, but short skirts would be distracting for a 14-year-old boy. Trust me, I was one.
They need to get over it.
But it's just, I just don't think it's the school rule. They broke the school rule. Bye. Come back when you've done the school rule.
Yeah.
Everyone at Three Counties is going, it's the school. It's exciting because they got sent home. Well, they broke the school rules. Next.
No, I thought the point of the story was that it was from one particular shop and it was the standard issue, but it's not even that.
No.
Oh well.
It'd be interesting to know if it's a policy, a council policy, or just.
It'll be a school. It'll be a school policy. Yeah. I remember the furore, Liam, in the 80s when the girls, I think inspired by Grange Hill, fought long and hard to be allowed to wear trousers in school. They weren't allowed to wear trousers.
Yeah, I can't remember what it was in the 60s. I think the rules were relaxed towards holidays.
I think, Liam, we all know the rules. All of the rules, all of society's rules were very relaxed in the 1960s. I wonder how many people actually took LSD in the 1960s. I think it was about 18. I think it was about 18 people, because everyone was swinging 60s. I bet it was really boring. They still had outside toilets.
Mm-hmm.
Outside toilets were the norm in the swing. There's nothing swinging about having a dump in a dunny outside.
Also, you look at all these sex symbols, you know they were having a bath once a week, if that.
Yeah.
They stank.
Oh, disgusting. I hate the 60s.
Men didn't wear deodorant because that was for girls.
Let's abolish the...
Stinking 60s.
Let's abolish the stinking 60s. Let's do the yes.
I've got a really annoying story in the paper. Heavily pregnant, and not because of the
so
reason...
Roberto's done this
think-
story. Jonathan's done this story about the short skirt.
Let's not do it then.
Let's speak to the headmistress.
And say, what's all this bother you're getting?
Let's pat her on the back. Let's congratulate her and say, well done you for upholding standards. I mean, honestly,
Right, yeah, let's do that. All right, we'll do that. Heavily pregnant woman was left in agony after standing for 30 minutes on a train despite having reserved a seat, says The Sun. Screams The Sun. Mary Claire Doolan, 29, said a man occupied the place and laughed in her face when she asked him to move. Nasty.
Yeah.
You ask him to move. Then it says Marie Claire, who's 34 weeks pregnant. So
Marie Claire? That's a magazine.
I know. Well, it's Mary with a M-H. That's Mary, isn't it? Or is it Mary?
That's Mari.
Marie Claire, so a posh magazine. Marie Claire, who's 34 weeks pregnant, was travelling from Birmingham to Manchester. She said, I told the man I had my seat booked. I showed him my ticket. He looked at it and just laughed and turned away. Now, this is the thing that's annoying.
Yeah, here we go.
Mary Claire was
Marie
reluctant was reluctant to make a scene as the man was with her pal. So she didn't say anything.
Oh,
My back ached, and then she moaned.
Here we go.
And then she said, a seat eventually came free. So she didn't say anything, and she got another seat. But it's become
Why didn't she go and speak to a member of staff? Why,
this is what Cross Country Rail have said, right? They said she
Why
should
did
have
go and
contacted the
speak
train
to-
manager.
Why did she not speak to someone on the train who worked there, and instead she spoke to the Sun newspaper?
Yeah, and she's done a glum face.
Let's have a look. Let's have a look.
You might have seen it yesterday.
Chancer.
So she got slighted, and instead of taking it to the relevant authority or maybe just telling the bloke to move,
she's holding a ticket.
She is, and she's got a great bit. I mean, you can't see, but she's quite far along there.
Cross Country Rail said she should have contacted the train manager.
Yeah.
Well,
Again, not a story. Either moan to the right person or don't moan at all.
I'm debating. Oh, let's have this. You hate this song if it works. Or it might not work.
Because of my special powers.
Do you know this one? You know this one. It's not at all predatory.
Jump in my car.
Oh, gosh. I mean, that...
Do you know that song? Kelly's on the
We had Stranger Danger songs when I was a kid. My kids are getting played that.
Well, I think the thing is, because he's famous for driving a car.
Then he starts getting angry. This is a thing.
Jump in my car. I wanna take you home.
And of course, you know what upset the geeks on the internet? In the video, he's driving a right-handed kit. I don't think so. Okay, we don't need to have that then.
But towards the end, he gets quite insistent, doesn't he?
Pick a number between 19 and 56.
38.
Let's have a little look. Oh, you know what? This will do.
Woman, do you love me? Woman, if you need me, then believe me, I need you to be my woman. Woman, do you love me? Woman, if you need me, then believe me, I need you to be my woman. And should you ask me how I'm doing, what shall I say? Things are okay, but I know that they're not, and I still may have lost. Woman, do you love me? Woman, if you need me, then believe me, I need you to be my
say you sign and tell me when we're alone. Love will come home, I would give up my world if you'll say that my girl is my woman. I've got plenty of time.
Got to love a bit of Peter and Gordon. Got to love a bit of Peter. Written by Kelly Betts. Written by Kelly Betts. Well done.
Carol King.
Paul McCartney, I believe. I might be wrong though. I think he wrote it under a pseudonym. I might be.
Well, it's kind of his brother-in-law, wasn't it?
Yeah, well, almost. And then he cheated on Jane with
an
array of beautiful and not quite so beautiful women. Steve's in Luton. Morning, Stephen.
Morning.
What you got for us, boss? Is it your usual bigotry?
Yeah.
Beautiful. Bring it on. The world's not an angry enough place, is it, Steve? Let's make it a little bit more twisted.
No, it's not angry. It's not twisted. It's common sense and logical. And how
Common
you take
sense,
what I say.
common sense and
how
reason.
And that's
I
the danger.
How I say it and how you take it is completely up to you.
I'm not taking anything from you, buddy. I'm not taking anything from you.
Anyway, we don't want the Syrian refugees here. We've got enough people here anyway.
Thanks for calling, Steve. There's Steve with a heart of... Well, you don't want them, but I do.
No, we don't want them.
No, Steve. Steve, you said common sense. Steve, you're wrong. I want them. So you're wrong there.
Well,
you don't.
Well, you go back to Syria, sell your house up, and go to Syria and go and house them in Syria. We don't want them here.
No, because the reason. Do you know why they're leaving Syria? Don't you?
Yes, I know. Listen, don't get me wrong. I'm not completely honest. If I was in a position to help someone and whatever, then I would. With a
you are.
Reason. But we're full up.
No, we're not, Steve.
We're fed up with it. We're fed up with all the other foreigners.
No, Steve. I'm gonna say it. You're a horrible, nasty racist, and I don't want. I have, mate, because what you just said then is racist. I've enjoyed. No, Steve, you're not. You're being horrible and racist, and I've put up. Stephen, I've put up with your badinage, and I've enjoyed it, and it's sprung forth some great calls. I don't want you calling anymore. The world's too grim, and I don't want to hear your poison. All right, Steve. Ta-ta. Thanks very much. I don't need that nonsense anymore, really.
Travel news for beds, cards and bugs.
BBC Three Counties Radio.
On the M25, there's been an accident anti-clockwise at junction 20 for Kings Langley. It's partially blocked, a car fire has partially blocked the exit slip road there, and it's causing queues now from junction 22 for St Albans, and emergency services there which are blocking the start of the exit slip road. On the M1 southbound, it's very slow from junction 10 for Luton towards 7 for Hemel Hempstead, and in Hatfield on the Great North Road, there's roadworks going on at St Albans Road East, so that could cause some delays, but it's looking okay at the moment. And in High Wycombe on the A40, there's roadworks going on between Bradnam Road and Chorley Road, which could also cause some delays, but it's looking quiet so far this morning. Samantha Bruff, BBC Three Counties Radio.
Thank you, Sammy. Now, I don't mind if you want to phone up and say you don't want the Syrian refugees here. I don't mind that at all. What I do mind is lies. And he said that none of us want them. Well, that's not true. And sloppy racism. If you can form a better argument, you're more than welcome to tell me why you don't want them here.
Local and vocal across beds, hearts and bucks.
This is BBC Three Counties Radio.
It's 7 o'clock. I'm Simon Oxley. The headlines: Bucks MP back in government over drone killings, Watford man's refugee warning, and Hertfordshire school defending short skirt policy.
BBC Three Counties Radio.
The government's facing calls to give more details of the circumstances surrounding the killing of 2 British men in an RAF drone strike in Syria last month. The Prime Minister told Parliament yesterday that one of the men had been actively plotting attacks in Britain after joining Islamic State militants. Labour says ministers should publish the legal advice on which the decision was made. The former Attorney General and Beaconsfield MP Dominic Grieve is backing David Cameron.
The Attorney General was present in the chamber when the Prime Minister was speaking. It would be a bit difficult for the Attorney to be there if he thought the Prime Minister was misleading Parliament on that issue. So my view is that the Attorney will have had ample opportunity to look at the background intelligence, to understand the issues involved and to provide the legal advice.
Meanwhile, a Watford man who has just returned from Calais, where he delivered British donations to refugees, is warning others against doing the same. Mike Jackson said his car was surrounded by refugees. More from Nicola Hazler.
Since the photos of 3-year-old Iain Kurdi appeared in the press, donations for the refugees have increased dramatically. Many British people have driven to Calais to take carloads of clothing and supplies. But the charities there say the disorganised way that aid is arriving is causing chaos and leading to refugees fighting over the donations. Mike Jackson and his family, who went to Calais on Friday, said it dehumanises the migrants and that the most needy aren't getting the donations.
A government plan to change the campaign rules for the EU referendum has been rejected in the Commons after a rebellion by 37 Conservative MPs. They voted down an attempt to relax the restrictions on what ministers and civil servants can say and do during the forthcoming referendum. The rebels included Buckinghamshire's Steve Baker and Cheryl Gillan, Hertfordshire MPs Anne Main and Stephen McPartland, and Bedfordshire's Nadine Dorries. 3 people were injured in a 2-car collision which closed the A5 in Milton Keynes yesterday evening. The emergency services, including an air ambulance, were called just before 6 p.m. to the southbound carriageway between Stacey Bushes and central Milton Keynes. One injured man had to be cut free by firefighters. Another man and a woman were also hurt. Parents say a Hertfordshire school has gone the wrong way about enforcing its uniform policy after it sent home more than 100 girls because their skirts were too short. But Tring School has defended its decision. More from Jessica Cooper.
One parent told us their daughter was sent home with no work to do and told not to return until her uniform was sorted. Another said the school had gone too far. Tring School says parents were told incorrectly dressed students would have to improve their uniform before attending lessons. Shops who supply the skirts say they're now running out of stock, and in future they'll be talking to suppliers to make longer skirts.
In sport, Andy Murray is out of the US Open after losing in 4 sets to South Africa's Kevin Anderson. The weather dry with sunny spells, a maximum temperature 17 degrees Celsius. And you can get the latest news and sport online at bbc.co.uk/3 counties.
Honestly, if you want to phone up and tell us why you don't want to take refugees, I've got no problem with that. I've got no problem with hearing the contrary argument at all. I'm keen to hear it. But I just when your opening statement is a lie and it's just nasty, snarky racism, I'm not interested in that. If you can phone up and on an intellectual level, tell me why we shouldn't take the refugees. Boom, you're on, man. You're on. 03459 455 555. For example, this one doesn't make sense. Iain says, your argument doesn't stack up. If it does, why haven't we taken in all the poor African people that are dying of hunger? It's not. No. These people are refugees. And boy, have you seen... isn't it interesting? Yesterday, David Cameron, we're going to take 20,000 refugees. Everyone went, oh, all right. Oh, fair play. And then the caveats start to come out. Have you heard the caveats? 20,000 refugees over the next 5 years. Oh, over the next 5 years. OK, right. So, the immediate over the next 5 years, 4,000 years. Oh, and they won't be given refugee status. Oh, OK. It's temporary visa. I see. Right. OK. Nice work, David.
Have
Suddenly.
you heard the one about the kids? Because everyone cares about the kids, don't they?
Yep.
When they're 18, they get sent home.
Ladies and gentlemen, thank you very much indeed. We don't want them over here. We're full up. Give them a spare room in your house. Go over there and help them. I mean, come on, guys. Come on. Listen. We're not Julia Hartley-Brewer. We're not a phone-in on LBC. You guys can do... We're the BBC, for crying out loud. You guys can do better than them. Huh? Seriously, I've got no problem with hearing the argument as to why we shouldn't take refugees. I've no problem. But it's got to be better than... In fact, can we get the bell? Can you go... My bell might... It's either... I don't know where my key is. I think the key's in my jacket out there. Get the cliche bell. Because we don't want... The country's full. Give them your spare room. We don't want them here. Don't want those. You guys can do better than that.
Across beds, hearts and bucks.
This is BBC Three Counties Radio.
03, here it comes. Here comes the cliche bell, and there we go. And boy, oh boy. Thank you very much.
That today.
There we go. We don't want them here. We're full. Put them in your spare room. Don't. There we go. Okay, this is the challenge, and it's a challenge, okay? And I really, normally I'd say, phone up. Everyone phone up now immediately. No, you need, go and have a cup of tea, a cup of coffee, slice of toast, maybe a fag. Have a think about what you're going to say. Have a think about what you're going to say in your argument against having the refugees here. Because I want something intellectual, okay? Feel the emotion, feel the knee-jerk, I don't want foreigners here, feel all of that, that's great, that's fine. Then put that to one side and let's have an intellectual conversation. Dennis is in Dunstable. Morning, Dennis.
Good morning.
What you got for us, boss?
I'm fascinated by how the government's going to get these people from Syria. It's a hell of a long way. How are they going to go fly them out? Are they going to get a boat? We haven't got a sea contact with them.
Yeah, no,
so
it'll be I can tell you.
Yeah, go on.
It'll be aeroplanes.
Will it? I hope so. Wait, 4,000. I know he says he's had a lot of money. I think it's 4,000 a year, isn't it?
4,000 a year, yes, over the next 5 years. And boy, oh boy, let's hope that some of those people make it for 5 years, huh? Because they're getting bombed and stuff.
The other thing I'm fascinated by: how did they pick these two men out by bombing? I mean, how did they know where they were?
Now you're talking about the fellas that got done by the drones. I've got no idea.
How the hell could they spot them?
But isn't the world a mystery? I don't know. They must have had a really good camera. What are your thoughts on that? Because I've not yet processed the drone strike.
No, I just can't say how they do it.
Knee-jerk reaction, good or bad, that it happened?
Oh, good, very good. The only trouble is, of course, if they can do that with them, what's to stop the police in this country sorting out people that way, sending a drone up and looking for them? And
Dennis, thank you. We can talk about the drone as well. I've not made my mind up on the drone. I guess, two dodge pots that were going to blow us up, good. Although the government has lied about... that's me ringing my own cliche, but the government has lied to us before about reasons for attacking people. But it sets a precedent. 03459 455 555, please, is the telephone number if you want to give us a call. Now, the stories and the pictures we've been seeing of the family stuck in the refugee camps across Europe have led to a wave of charitable donations being taken across the channel. But a Watford man who's just got back from Calais says maybe we need to think again. Mike Jackson was part of an aid convoy known to the convoy to the camp known as the Jungle. Morning, Mike. You went on Friday. What happened?
Oh, good morning, Ian. Well, we went on Friday. We took 2 carloads. Actually, my daughter had a carload, and myself and my partner had a carload of basically tents, sleeping bags, warm clothes, and shoes that we'd collected over the previous 2 weeks. We did this from a standing start 2 weeks earlier because we'd been watching the TV images of the poor suffering refugees, and there's a refugee camp only 140 miles from Watford in Calais, so we thought we ought to go and do something. So we took them over there. We did a day trip on the ferry, and we contacted the refugee agencies and delivered the stuff that we had. We've also collected about £2,500. Some of it we've already spent on providing plastic sheeting for shelters there, and the rest we're going to donate to the refugee agencies.
What did you see when you got there?
Well, we saw something resembling, it was almost medieval, I've got to say. I mean, here we are in Calais, which is a modern European town. On the edge of an industrial estate, there's this encampment with the most squalid, poor conditions you could imagine. Nobody runs this camp. It's called the Jungle because actually there is no administration. They run it themselves, basically, with the aid of some volunteers. But the conditions are very poor. They get 1 meal a day. They're not allowed to cook in the area. Agencies aren't allowed to cook on the camp because they fear of fire. There's a field hospital in the camp because a lot of people were injured trying to get on trains and lorries. The conditions are absolutely terrible. And these are people that have come from war-torn areas such as Eritrea, Sudan, Iraq, Somalia, etc. And they're living in terrible conditions. And all the British government does is to spend £22 million putting a fence up round the port so they can't get in.
No, Mike, you've got it wrong. Surely you've not heard some of my callers. They're coming over here because they want free flats and they want to sign on. That's what they're running towards. They're not running from anything.
Well, they're running from war, and they're absolutely desperate. You don't come all the way across from the Horn of Africa or from Sudan or from Afghanistan, many of them as well, which is clearly a war-torn area, just to get £36 a week in benefits.
Ladies and gentlemen, Michael, thank you. You've just, in that one sentence, you've just said what I've been trying to argue all flipping morning.
Good.
It must have been. It must have been quite depressing. I make up it would be very depressing to see people living in those conditions.
It is. It's quite a shock, I've got to say. But I wasn't. I knew what to expect, but it was more shocking when I saw it. You can see photographs of the camp on the Refugee Agency website, which is called L'Auberge de Migrants, a Calais-based website, and you can see the sort of conditions that people are living in. There was a heavy rain there 2 weeks ago, which flooded the camp, so they really do need tents and sleeping bags and blankets now. And of course, winter's coming on. So the conditions are going to become even more squalid. I just think that in this part of the 21st century, we could be doing something to relieve the conditions in those camps. I mean, there's a big issue which you're talking about how many refugees the country should accept. I don't think 20,000 is near enough compared to Germany's going to accept 800,000. But nevertheless, I just think the conditions that they're living in need to be relieved. And there's people all over the UK now who are actually collecting for Calais, and they need to do this through the agencies. You shouldn't go straight onto the camp yourself because these are desperate people. Not that they'd attack you, but they will grab it because there's no system of distribution. So you need to go through the agencies, and the agencies will organise fair distribution.
Did you feel in danger when you were there, or under threat at all?
Well, I felt very uneasy because here are some very, very, very poor, desperate people. People walking around in flip-flops, at the start of winter, in very poor clothes, living in makeshift tents. With 8 toilets for about 3,000 people. It's a terrible place to be existing in. I don't want to say living in. And so yes, I did feel very, very uncomfortable when I was there. But I also saw great signs of human life and humanitarianism. There's a lot of English volunteers working in the camp. There's one guy that set up a library there. There's another guy, some teachers, volunteer teachers, who are running a school there to teach English and French to some of the refugees. So there's doctors in there who are giving their time free to run a makeshift field hospital for some of the people who have been wounded or become ill. So there's real signs of humanity in the camp. They just need more of it, basically, to help them.
And people who are considering going there, Mike, what would you say?
Well, I'd say if you've got... there are people there that are going out for a week at a time to volunteer to work and come back. If they've got a spare week, they go out there. You can do that through the agencies who desperately need volunteers. Most of the volunteers in France come up for the weekend, so they need people that could be there, say, for a week at a time that will volunteer to help on the camps, distribute food, distribute clothes and shoes, etc. Also, if you can collect money, you can give it to the refugee organisations. There's no government aid for this, so all the money that's going into the camp to buy things, to make these shelters, etc. I mean, we went and spent €400 on agricultural plastic sheeting to help them make these shelters, which is very valuable to them, given the elements that are out there. So there's lots of things that one can do. You can collect money, you can collect clothes, you can collect shoes, particularly, which are needed, and tents and sleeping baskets.
Mike, well done for having a go.
Yeah, well, we'll have a go again as well. Well, thanks, Iain. Thanks for what you're doing.
Thank you very much indeed. There we go. Mike Jackson, he's having a go. He's having a go and trying to make a difference. Well done him. More than I'm doing at the moment, if I'm completely honest. Thank you, Mike. 03459 455 555. Really happy to take your calls on why you think we shouldn't have the refugees here. But, just to up your game a little bit. We're not some kind of slack, cliche-ridden show that just we're not LBC. We're better than that. We're the BBC. So the knee-jerk, we're full, we don't want them. What about our own? OK, that's fine. Put it to one side. Now come up with an intellectual argument. L says, there are millions now living in this country. Your opinion is not the same as everyone's. I know. That's why I was slightly disappointed with Steve, because he thought, I know, my opinion is different. You will find many do not want them. I know. We have a housing crisis. Yeah, I know. Rob spoke to a poor girl living with a daughter in an M1 hotel. Yeah, I spoke to her the other day. Poor ex-serviceman lived in a bin store. Yeah, I know. I spoke to the fella. I have a relation, and I don't understand what the point is you're making. Yeah, I know that people are living in crappy conditions in this country, right? Let's help them as well. It's not we're going to help the Syrians or we're going to help our own. They're not mutually. I have a relation in a B&B. Funding cuts for cancer patients. NHS penniless on its knees. Well, that's not true. Benefit cuts. Pensioners struggling to. Yeah, okay. Well, we can focus on those as well. We can do all those things, and we can also help some foreigners who are being bombed and watching their kids die. I mean, I don't see a problem with that.
Travel news for beds, cards and bugs.
BBC Three Counties Radio.
On the M25, there are queues approaching junction 20 for Kings Langley from junction 22 for St Albans because of a car fire which blocked the exit Slip Road earlier. On the anti-clockwise M25 around junction 16 for the M40 as well, it's looking very busy on the speed sensors. And the M1 southbound is slow from junction 10 for Luton Airport to 7 for Hemel Hempstead. In Hitchin on Fishponds Road, a reminder that that's closed between Bedford Road and Burton Avenue, so it might be extra busy in Hitchin. And in St Albans on the North Orbital Road, there's a lane closed for roadworks between the Park Street roundabout and the London Coney roundabout. Looking at the speed sensors, it's looking a little bit slow, also looking quite slow on Harpenden Road in both directions, but in and out of the town. Samantha Bruff, BBC Three Counties Radio.
Thank you, Sammy. Blimey, look, it's 7:17, isn't it? It's Tuesday, the 8th of September. I'm Iain Lee. These are your headlines on BBC Three Counties Radio. The government's facing calls to give more details about the killing of 2 British men in an RAF drone strike in Syria last month. MPs will hold an emergency debate today on the migrant crisis. The leader of Bucks County Council says councils will need extra money to pay for taking in Syrian refugees. And parents say Tring School has gone the wrong way about enforcing its uniform policy after it sent home more than 100 girls because their skirts were too short.
Original British drama on BBC One.
I'm the Doctor, and I save people.
It's a trap.
Prepare yourself for teleport.
Doctor, listen to me. I know traps. This is a trap.
I am prepared. Doctor Who starts September 19th on BBC One and BBC One HD.
This is Iain Lee.
On BBC Three Counties Radio.
03459 455 555. Peter's in Walmer Green. Good morning, Peter.
Good morning.
What would you like to have a whinge about today, boss?
Well, I really was. If you talk about refugees, for many, many years this country has taken in refugees, going right back to the 30s and earlier. So, because they've done that, they've always, very nearly always, sent the refugees into poor areas of the country. A form of racism, really. Now, what they should do with this lot is to distribute them fairly.
Send them to Hampstead and Highgate and the posh places in North London.
But as long as they distribute them fairly, you could lose 10 families in there and you stop building ghettos. And that's what most people who find really, really offensive. They're building ghettos.
I don't. Yours is the first argument I've heard about ghettos. I think most people just don't want foreigners over here. They're confusing. They're confusing. A lot of people, and I think Steve earlier on, and a lot of the people on the text are confusing migrants with. Hello.
Yeah, I'm here.
You sound like the blooming TARDIS taking off. You do.
No, well, I breathe through my nose. That's why you hear it.
Okay, because your mouth's so busy whinging. They are confusing migrants with refugees. And there's a huge difference, isn't there, Peter?
Well, an East End one, because we took in the Jewish refugees, we took in the Russian refugees, all in the East End of London.
Yeah.
Now, the same thing is continuing. The poor areas get given, not only the refugees, they get given the migrants as well. Now, if you're looking at...
But the migrants... I don't even think you need to say the migrants and the refugees in the same sentence. They're two completely different... What was it in World War II? Peter, you'll know this better than me, because you're a much more knowledgeable gentleman than me. Was it the Kinder Express?
Yes.
The Kinder Transport. That was it. The Kinder Transport, right? And this was World War II, I think. And it was loads of Jewish kids.
The man sent them over from Germany. The children...
Hang on a second. Catherine is chomping on a biscuit, knows more than I do.
They sent 10,000 over in 9 months.
And were these kids?
Yes.
So it's Jewish kids. When we worked out, when we got Sammy...
And you know where they were shipped to? the poorer areas.
And I bet
Safety.
Yeah, I don't think they'd mind. And the thing. So are you saying, Pete? You're not saying, Peter, we shouldn't have brought those 10,000 Jewish kids over, are you?
No, I'm not saying that
at all. Because at the time, I heard.
What I'm talking about is fair distribution.
I know, but I heard a really interesting programme on Radio 4 the other week where it compared all of the other refugee situations that Britain has been brave enough to help out in, right? And do you know what some right-wing politicians and some members of the public were saying when the what was it?
The Kinder Transport.
I keep thinking Kinder Eggs, that's why. The Kinder Transport. Do you know what some people said? Yeah. We don't want all those Jews over here. We don't want all those Jews over here. We don't. What are they doing coming to Britain for?
The country was on its knees.
We're full. They were saying however long ago, 75 years ago, we're full. And we don't want 10,000 Jewish kids. They said that.
Do you really know that the closest the Jewish population ever got to the English population, if you like, was in the East End of London? Because
I know. I'm off the top of my head. Well, there's definitely at least one Jewish person working in
places like that.
No, but that's not true. There's at least one Jewish person. Well, I can't believe I'm saying it like this. My friends know a black man. There's at least one Jewish person who works in this building. At least one. Well, so you're saying the integration is the best integration is they live in the East End of London.
Listen, will you listen?
Well, will you start talking sense?
The East Enders welcomed so many refugees over the years. There was always the East Enders they was always sent to.
And what wonderful, lovely people.
When you talk in those terms, you cannot keep a continual stream of immigrants or refugees coming into the poor areas.
So, your basic argument is you want to put them
in Tower Hamlets need a home.
Okay. Yeah, but okay, we can help those as well.
But they haven't.
Well, then you need to complain to your government. You need to complain to your council. You need to complain to your MP. You need to petition them to do that.
They stood outside with banners yesterday saying, "Well,
brilliant, well done."
They're the ones who caused the housing problem.
Right. Okay. What you're saying is we shouldn't help people who are watching their kids die.
No, I did not. I'm saying. Have them in, but distribute them fairly.
OK, then why did you mention migrants and the housing crisis for British people?
Well, it's the same thing because it's taking people in who need somewhere to live.
OK, all right. Always good to lock horns with you, Peter.
Absolutely, and I enjoy talking to you, Ian.
I enjoy talking to you,
and best of luck anyway.
I know you can take a robust probing, so thank you. Have a good day, Pete. Take care.
Cheers.
Ta-ta. 03459 455 555. Now, more than 100 Tring schoolgirls have been sent home for breaking uniform rules. Parents are furious that they've bought new pleated skirts only to be told they're too short. So far, the head teacher has declined to comment. Until now. Sue Collins is on the line. Morning, Sue.
Good morning, Ian.
Now, this is an interesting story, isn't it? Thanks for talking to us. I really appreciate it. So you tell us what's gone wrong from your point of view.
Well, let me just start with a little bit of background here, Ian. First of all, Tring School is a really good, strong church school with over 1,500 students. All of our external metrics as a school are absolutely fantastic. Ofsted, SIAMS, our results are really pleasing. You know, we've had to take what I call strong leadership for many, many years to get our school into this position. So we do have high standards. We value the morals and the value that we place on our education for our youngsters. So, you know, we can be really, really proud of everything that we're doing. And of course, you know, to have high standards, which our parents expect, you do have to enforce them. And I think that, you know, uniform is something which does unite a school together. And, you know, I think it's really, really important that our students wear our uniform correctly. And the policy that the governors and the leadership team have worked on is unchanged. It's been in place for several years now. It's not new.
So how come so many parents and pupils got it wrong this term then?
Well, that's right. Well, what happened is that last year we could see that skirts in particular were becoming much, much shorter, and they were becoming what I consider to be virtually indecent. Likewise, shoes were also becoming more fashionable rather than practical. So we wanted to take action. And the best time to take that type of action is at the start of a school term, which is when parents are usually considering buying and purchasing new uniform items. So we communicated with parents at the very beginning of July. And we gave a very explicit letter which said to parents that the skirts needed to be knee length, and we didn't sort of, say anything further than that. We said they had to be knee length, and knee length to us does mean that it has to touch the kneecap. And of course, the vast majority of students arrived at school on the very first day, able to go into lessons because their skirts or trousers were absolutely the regulation sort, and they worked and they went straight into lessons. We obviously did have a number of students that we intervened with, where there were a mixture of different solutions that were, solved for those students. One or two might have, gone home to sort it out, but also we had parents coming in, bringing in the correct garments. But those skirts do have to touch the kneecap. That is what we are expecting. And that way then, our students then look really, really smart. And that is what the uniform policy is all about.
How many students did you send home that day?
I can tell you that we have intervened with about 120. But what I will say is that of those 120, some of those students went home, some stayed in school, so that then parents would come into school and they would deal with those issues with us and their children here on site. So, there was a mixture of solutions there.
I think that's. Do you know what? I think that sounds fair enough. I would be slightly upset. I know you're probably expecting a grilling, so you ain't going to get it from me because I'm kind of on your side. I would be slightly upset if I haven't got teenage kids yet, and I'm dreading that. But if they got sent home from school, but And when I was 13, 14, 15, man, I hated the school uniform. But now I'm a parent, and I've got kids that are starting school. I get it. I get why it's so important, and I get that it presents a nice image for them. They look smart. They don't look, they're not sexualised, particularly if they're young girls.
Absolutely.
And also it presents an image for the school. And as you say, the school's doing really well, and the uniform is part of that.
It is, and it's about having high standards. I have high standards for absolutely every function of my work, and I expect then also everybody that's part of this community to do so. The vast majority of parents that I've spoken to, and those that have been in touch with me as well, have been incredibly supportive, and I can't thank those parents enough that have gone out of their way to either be a member of the school community fully and have embraced our uniform policy, and those that had to make some alterations. Those that have done it really, really quickly, I praise them as well. As always, there is a hardcore group of students who in some ways are colluding with rebellious children. And, that's not a good role model for them to be making. And as far as I'm concerned, rules are part of life. Everybody has to accept that. And when I get comments about, we want our children to be unique and individual and so on, absolutely. But we do that within the learning, within the curriculum. We have diversity and personalisation within the learning, and that takes place in the lessons. But as far as I'm concerned, when the children come to school, they must wear our school uniform and do that with pride and wear it properly. And as I say, they are then an identifiable member of Tring School. And we should honestly. You do really sound like a headmistress. In the way you speak, it's making me a little bit nervous. But I think we should be applauding teachers like you and head teachers like you because there's everyone saying, well, standards are slipping and this school has got a rubbish Ofsted rate. Your school's doing really well. You've got rules. If you don't like the rules, hey, why don't you go to another school? Well, indeed. I mean,
and I know you wouldn't say that, but I just kind of think, if you don't like the rules that are there, well, that's tough. That's the rule of the school.
It is. That's right. And we make that explicit not only in our correspondence through letters and so on, but it's part of our homeschool agreement. It's there on our website. So, we've got open evening coming up very shortly. It's a really big marketing exercise for the school, and I will be sharing with potential new parents that we do adhere to our rules. And we would want them and expect them to also be part of that and to support us so that then we are united in together, having that partnership, we educate those children together. And that's what helps to generate success.
I think Catherine's just whispered in my ear, and my producer, and I agree with that. I think it's very brave of you to have enforced it to such a level, these rules to such a level. And I mean, I would imagine you're surprised slightly by the size of the backlash, the fact that it's got in some of the papers and stuff like that. But congratulations, well done.
Well, thank you. Our PR has been really, really clear and explicit. As I say, it is just a small group now of parents that have decided to take it elsewhere. Let's put it that way. And and as far as I'm concerned, that's their choice. However, we're not bending on this. We are going ahead, and students are they are wearing our uniform, and they're wearing it correctly. Yesterday, as you can imagine, there were a very, very small number that were non-compliant, and the rest were all in their lessons, working really, really well. And teaching and learning is our main focus.
I'd happily have you being responsible for my kids. So I think you're doing a brilliant job.
Wonderful.
Congratulations. Well done. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Ian.
Thanks
all right.
a lot.
Good to
There we
talk
go.
with you.
Ta-ta.
Okay.
Bye-bye. Anyone else feeling slightly nervous about talking to a headmistress? As she was fair play, she was expecting a grilling. Not from me.
If you listen back, you'll hear a little sigh of relief.
Yeah. Well done. Well, how can anyone argue with that? How can anyone argue with that? What an excellent example of a head teacher. 03459 455 555.
Travel news for beds, cards and bugs.
BBC Three Counties Radio.
There are long queues on the M25 anti-clockwise from junction 22 for St Albans to 20 for Kings Langley because of a car fire earlier which partially blocked the exit Slip Road. Also it's slow anti-clockwise between junction 17 for Maple Cross and 16 for the M40, and on the North Orbital Road at Bricket Wood on the M25 junction 21A roundabout it's looking very busy too. The M1 southbound is slow from junction 10 for Luton Airport to 7 for Hemel Hempstead, and looking at the speed sensors in Harpenden, the High Street's busy in both directions. Samantha Bruff, BBC Three Counties Radio.
Across beds, hearts and bugs.
This is BBC Three Counties Radio.
With the headlines, I'm Simon Oxley. The government's facing calls to give more details about the killing of 2 British men in an RAF drone strike in Syria last month. MPs will hold an emergency debate today on the migrant crisis. The leader of Bucks County Council says councils will need extra money to pay for taking in Syrian refugees. 3 people were injured in a 2-car collision which closed the A5 in Milton Keynes yesterday evening. And some parents say Tring School has gone the wrong way about enforcing its uniform policy after it sent home more than 100 girls because their skirts were too short. But head Sue Collings has told this programme the majority of parents support the stance.
3 Counties Sports.
BBC Three Counties Radio.
Andy Murray has suffered his earliest Grand Slam exit for 5 years, losing his 4th round tie at the US Open in 4 sets against South Africa's 15th seed Kevin Anderson.
Obviously managed to get the 3rd set, and then the beginning of the 4th set, obviously when you win a set like that, obviously the beginning of the next set is very important. I had an opportunity in his first service game, didn't manage to get it, and then he served very well after that.
In the women's singles, the British number 2, Johanna Konta, lost in straight sets to the Czech player Petra Kvitova. Victory for the Republic of Ireland, a draw for Northern Ireland and defeat for Scotland in last night's European Championship qualifiers. The Republic stay in contention for a playoff place after beating Georgia 1-0. Northern Ireland scored a stoppage time equaliser to draw 1-1 at home to Hungary. 2 points from their final 2 games will seal qualification. And Watford's Ikechianya was a second half sub as Scotland lost 3-2 at home to Germany. Scotland need to take at least 4 points from their last 2 games to have any chance of a playoff place. Boss Gordon Strachan is refusing to give up hope.
We play like that, same determination, with a wee bit of luck. When you play the world champ, you need a wee bit of luck. You don't need deflections coming off somebody's foot creeping the back of the net. And they might have thought to themselves, we've not got any luck tonight, but they went through that pain barrier. So we're still in this.
Tonight, England, who have already qualified, host Switzerland at Wembley. Watford midfielder Valon Barami is set to feature for the visitors. The Wales fullback Lee Halfpenny is out of the Rugby World Cup after rupturing knee ligaments during Saturday's win over Italy. England's cricketers face Australia in the 3rd one-day international at Old Trafford today. And in Speedway's Premier League, Rye House lost 52-41 at home to Peterborough last night, despite 17 points from Edward Kennett. BBC Three Counties News and Sport. The next full bulletin is at 8.
This is Iain Lee
on BBC Three Counties Radio.
Morning, Joan.
Who? Joanna?
Oh, it says. Oh, do you know
Moni
it does?
Joan. No,
Oh,
it's Moni Joanna instead.
Okay, well, let me start again. Hang on a second. Hang on. Let's pretend that never happened, Joanne. Hang on. Here we go. Morning, Joanna.
Good morning, Ian. How are you?
I'm all right, thanks. How are you now? I've got your name right.
Absolutely wonderful. Thank you very much. I just wanted to make a few points about Susanna Collins.
What a fantastic example of a headmistress, isn't she?
And maybe in your opinion, yeah, but probably not in half the mums in Tring at the minute,
Well,
to be fair.
you say half the mums.
Well, maybe you should ask all the mums whose kids she sent home without letting them know that they were being sent home.
Yeah.
You know, is that a great idea? Is that a great example of a head teacher?
Yes, it is. I think it shows leadership. Don't break the rules.
Sending year 7s and year 8s home without letting their mum and dad know that they've been released from school.
Don't break the rules.
Great idea, Ian, letting the kids wander the streets.
No, she sent them home.
Yeah, without letting their parents know.
So your kids.
Some of their parents have gone to work. Some of their parents, you know.
Did she do it? Did she do it to your kids?
She didn't do it to mine because.
Right. Okay. Talk
mine
to me.
Got put in internal instead.
Well, in that case, why don't you talk to me about how it's impacted on you?
Put in internal one day, then the next day her skirt was all right.
So how did it impact on? How did it?
Know
Joanna.
what they're on about.
Joanna.
Ian.
How did it? How did it impact on you? Don't tell me about other kids. How did it impact on you?
On me.
That's the question. Yeah.
Well, I had a very, very upset year 8 student on my hand who'd been humiliated in front of her friends for the fact that her skirt was too short, which it wasn't, because the next day she went in, her skirt was absolutely fine.
Okay, do you know whose fault that was?
Well, ultimately, I would say it's the headmistress's fault.
Who bought the wrong skirt?
A Marks and Spencer's longer length skirt.
Who bought the wrong skirt?
Not me.
Who bought that skirt then?
I bought the skirt.
Okay,
I bought the
so
right
if you,
skirt, 26 inches long.
If you bought the skirt, did it touch the kneecap?
It certainly did.
Well, then why was she picked out then?
Because it was on the top of the kneecap, not on the bottom.
Joanna,
this is how
you
finicky
cannot.
They are, Ian.
Yeah, it's called rules.
But
It's
so
called
what's it got to be? They should
rules.
stipulate. Oh, it's got to be completely covering the kneecap because kneecaps, you know, they're a bit provocative, really, aren't they? On a 12-year-old girl. This is the other point they've been making. You know, the girls are dressing provocatively. I'm sorry, she's 12. She's wearing black ties.
Some people find here's something you're not going to like. Some people find 12-year-old girls sexually attractive. Do you know who those people are?
In a school environment, they all get their bums kicked out because that's just
No,
sick and
Joanna.
wrong.
Do you know who finds 12-year-old girls sexually attractive?
The little boys in the school.
12-year-old boys.
But I don't think that they do, Ian. Not in the way that everyone's making out. Although girls are dressing sexually.
I was a 12-year-old boy. I was a 12-year-old boy.
I've got a 14-year-old son at that school.
And I bet he tells you. I bet he tells you exactly how he feels about sex and things, doesn't he?
Oh God, no! I think I'd be revolted if he
Thank
did.
you,
Quite honest with you.
Joanna. You can't blame anyone. You can't
he
blame.
He would say to me, "Mum, yes, I find some of the girls attractive, but I don't go around the whole school looking at their legs in their black
of course he's not
tights
gonna-
and their black long skirts."
Can I tell
Ian,
you-
you met your match with me, my son. You will not beat me on this.
Well,
subject.
Joanna, you. I've not even started yet, love, and you're doing terribly.
Neither have I, love. Neither have I.
The
You
thing
should be
is,
so proud of the fact that Susanna Collins let a whole load of school kids walk around the town without letting their parents know.
Joanna,
Ian?
I'm talking about your kids, not other kids. I don't want hearsay. I want your kids. As a 14-year-old boy,
It's not hearsay when I've spoken to a lot of the other
well, it
parents
is.
about
I'm
it.
afraid you don't know what hearsay means. Apart from great pop tunes, it also means other people's stories. I'm talking about your story. You cannot.
I'm giving you my story, and I could give you 50 other stories if you
No,
want, love.
I don't. As I've just said, Joanna. Is this? I don't know if this is on. As I've just said, I just want your story. Is that okay?
Giving you my story.
Brilliant. You can't
I'm
blame.
asking you a question, Ian. Why didn't you ask her about all the kids that she sent home?
You can't blame the school
Well,
for having a.
sending kids
Can
home
I
without
finish
letting
a
their parents
sentence?
know.
Can I finish a sentence? Would that
Go
be
on
all
then.
right? Thank you so much. You can't blame the school for picking your girl out if the school was too short. The only person you can blame is yourself.
But
And
why did they
that's
do
why
it?
you're so
Okay, but
angry, because you feel that you've been told off by the headmistress. That's why you're so angry.
So on Friday, her skirt was unacceptable, and yesterday the same skirt worn the same way was okay.
I don't know the specifics of that. Had she
Well,
rolled it up
I'm
on
telling you
one
the
day?
specifics of that.
Okay, well that's what you
No,
say.
she hadn't rolled it up, Ian.
Okay, well then there's obviously some
And it was
mistake
the same
there.
teacher, the same.
So then
the
your
same
school.
guard
So hang
the
on a
gate who
second.
called her to one side.
So I thought she said she humiliated her in front of all her friends.
On Friday, she did.
By calling her to
yesterday.
one side?
She didn't. It's the way they did it. You, get over there. And the way she did it. And the head teacher, and the assistant head put in
I
his...
bet you were a right pain in the bum in school, weren't you?
Getting hold of her skirt and pulling it down, the male teacher.
I bet you were well, in that case, launch a complaint if you've got a problem with that.
I have launched a complaint. So have many others, Ian. You have got a very one-sided story on this.
No, not at all.
No,
if you've listened...
You haven't got your facts straight. You haven't got all the information, and you're launching into something that you haven't actually got all the proper information. As usual on your show, this is what you do,
But yet
Ian.
you continue to listen, Joanna, and I appreciate it. Listen, all of the other shows... All of the other shows are covering your side of the story, and I think they're being a bit one-sided. I think the headmistress... Gosh, what a rude woman! I feel so sorry for your kids. What a rude woman!
I feel sorry for your kids, Ian. I feel sorry for your show.
Why? Because it's winning awards and getting more and more listeners. I don't know why you'd feel sorry. Listen, Joanna, this isn't working for me.
You have to try and belittle people because you can't...
This isn't...
I'm not going to argue with you about your radio show, because anyway...
Well, you brought it up, love. Listen, Joanna, this isn't working for me. I'm going to say...
all the kids home and things like that. You're wrong for asking her why the school shop supplied the shirts, the skirts.
Yeah.
So we got the parents go to the school.
The school shop have had 13 complaints.
Are wrong.
The school shop has had 13 complaints.
And your point is?
Well, that's not that many complaints, is it?
Maybe parents haven't been down there yet to complain, but I can tell you a lot more than that.
How many kids were sent home?
Listen, because it's not my side of the story.
How many kids? I'm listening to you, but I just find you very, very rude. How many kids were sent home?
Exceptionally rude as well.
But you called me. Thanks. How many kids were sent home?
Susanna Collins seems to know. You seem to be the teacher's pet. Why don't you ask her?
How many kids were sent home?
I don't know exactly. More than the 2 or 3 that she suggested
20.
on the radio.
20. She didn't suggest that.
More than 20, Ian.
How many were sent home?
I shall get a poll together this afternoon. I can find out and give you the exact number, shall I?
Okay. I tell you what, Joanna. Listen, your problem isn't with the school. Your problem with the fact that your daughter wore a skirt. For some reason, you've got issues with teachers and authority, and that's fine.
I really haven't, Ian. I've got a problem with you not asking the proper questions.
Okay,
you trying to give a one-sided argument as usual because...
Well, if you don't listen, why do you get...
You just didn't ask the right questions. Now you feel bad and embarrassed. Anyway,
I don't feel bad.
I've got to get my kids
I've got to put the phone down. I've got to go and put the phone down. And she's gone. Oh, dearie me, Joanna. I expected more than a garbled hit and run from you. I was enjoying that. Oh, dear. Let's go to Steve. Morning, Steve.
Good morning.
You all right, boss?
Well, yeah, it's a shame she's not on, because I'd like to chat with her.
Well, I don't know if you got a word in edgeways, mate, and she's done a hit and run, so...
Both my girls went to a girls' school in Hatfield, and we did have problems with uniforms. I mean, we'd take them to the shop to try the skirt on while they were there to make sure it was the right length.
Yep.
It's no good. I mean, that's what she's done. She's gone out and bought a school. Oh, it's a long one. I'm 6 foot tall. A pair of normal-sized trousers on me are short. I need long-leg trousers. And it's like, you can't just expect to stick those... And then argue with the school. The school's 100% right. If the children aren't dressed right, and also girls especially, and I used to be outside the school when I was picking my daughters up, they would come up and roll the waistbands up on these
Well, they've been doing that for generations, rolling up the skirts. Really? Of course they did. My mum used to do that.
Yeah, but I mean, how can she sit there and say it's the headmistress's fault? There's set rules. I mean, if there was a police officer, was he turned up at work in khaki trousers and a green shirt? No, because he's got to wear a uniform.
Exactly.
They do at school.
Someone's called me out saying, before you said that kids should be allowed to, improvise on the uniform. I don't know if I said they should be allowed. It certainly happened in my school. But I was like, yeah, you can change your opinion. And my opinion is now that if there's a school uniform, because I've got kids in school, if there's a school uniform, well, then you wear it. And I can see the reason for the school uniform.
Yes, I work for a company. We all wear the same uniform. As much as I don't like it,
yep.
If I don't wear it, I'm going to get sent home and lose my job. I don't know what
I feel so sorry for that headmistress having to deal with parents that are angry over something that it's their fault. It's their fault. Their kid. If their kids are listen, I've got to move on. But thank you, Steve. If their kids are called out in class, it's their fault. You didn't buy the right school uniform. 03459 455 555. Let's get the travel.
Travel news for beds, cards and bugs.
BBC Three Counties Radio.
There are long delays on the M25 anti-clockwise from junction 21 for the M1 to 20 for Kings Langley. It's after the exit slip road was partially blocked earlier by a car fire. Also on the M25 anti-clockwise, it's slow from junction 24 for Potters Bar to 23 for the A1M. And the North Orbiter Road in Bricket Wood on the M25 junction 21A roundabout is looking very slow. Also on the M1 southbound, it's busy from junction 10 for Luton Airport to 7 for Hemel Hempstead. And on the speed sensors, Harpenden is busy in patches on the High Street and the A1081 as well, heading in from Luton Road into Harpenden. Samantha Bruff, BBC Three Counties Radio.
Sammy, thank you very much. Well, you heard Joanna there, very angry about the school uniform. Let's find out exactly how many kids were sent home. I don't think it was 120 that were sent home. I think it was 120 that were affected. Some were kept at the school. Some parents came in and sorted out, and some were sent home. So let's try and get that figure. And as I did say to the head teacher, I would feel aggrieved if my kids were sent home from school. I did say that. But I'd love to get your thoughts on that, please. I just think that Joanna there, it's not for me to say she has an attitude problem, but I always lose respect for anyone that does a hit and run. I always lose respect for that, where they just say, right, here's my final point and I'm going to put the phone down, bye. Come on, we're better than that. Let's have a conversation about it. But rules is rules, isn't it? Rules is rules. I've got so much respect for that head teacher. I'm just getting a whiff of what she's been dealing with the last few days. 7:47, it's Tuesday the 8th of September. I'm Iain Lee. These are your headlines on BBC Three Counties Radio. The government's facing calls to give more details about the killing of 2 British men in an RAF drone strike in Syria last month. MPs will hold an emergency debate today on the migrant crisis. The leader of Bucks County Council says councils will need extra money to pay for taking in Syrian refugees. And the head teacher at Tring School has defended its uniform policy after girls were sent home because their skirts were too short. Let's get the weather.
Beds, Herts and Bucks weather.
BBC Three Counties Radio.
There is a bit of cloud around this morning, but hopefully we should start to see it thin and break. In fact, the further east you are, we've got 1 or 2 breaks just happening in parts of maybe Hertfordshire and Bedfordshire, but it's predominantly a cloudy start to the day. It will hopefully start to thin, though, later on this afternoon. We should get some sunny spells, and temperatures will reflect that. Under the cloud, they'll struggle. 17 Celsius there, but it could get a degree warmer if the sun pops out for long enough. Now, overnight tonight, that cloud moves further back inland, and we're going to see temperatures drop to 10 Celsius. For tomorrow, though, we pick up an easterly flow, so the air coming from the continent, it's a bit drier. We should see the clouds disappear a bit quicker, more sunny spells, and temperatures reflecting this drier, warmer air. 19 Celsius for Wednesday, and similar again, perhaps even warmer as we head into Thursday. And that's your forecast.
Cheers, my dears.
Even if you can't get to the match.
Already, we're hearing stories of Watford fans saying that they are going to struggle to get here.
Or listen to the commentary.
Got quick feet, hasn't he? Quick feet and good skill and good vision.
You can still keep up to date with your local team with Three Counties Sport.
There is the half-time whistle. It's 0-0. Plenty to ponder.
Follow us on Twitter to get all the team news.
There's 2 changes from the team that won at Barnet on Saturday.
Goals as they happen.
Trying to make room for the shot. Marriott into the corner of the net. Super goal from Luton Town.
And reaction at the final whistle.
Momentum changes very quickly in these games, and we're disappointed for that.
Twitter.com/BBC3CR and stay up to date with your local team.
Well, first of all, Scott says, when that woman said, "You've met your match with me, son," I actually picked up my coffee and sat down in front of the radio, so that's good. And I don't know what's going on. I've got more tweets, more texts agreeing with me than disagreeing with me. And I don't, I'm unused to this. Do you want to read some of them?
What, the texts?
It would be immodest of me to read them.
Mark in Bedford, if you sign a homeschool agreement, you must abide by it. No option. All parents do sign it. Shirley in Milton Keynes. I mean, Shirley's not usually on your side. Hi, you're absolutely right. Dan, that woman was wrong. Her daughter rolled her skirt up, I'm sure, and she wasn't there to witness it. Well, good argument, you won. Well,
we don't know that, but as I say, you rolled your skirt up, Kath. My mum rolled. For generations, girls have been rolling their skirts up.
But then, you know what? Sometimes I look back at the pictures of what I used to wear, and I think, I'm lucky my dad didn't see me go out like that.
And whether it's because, I don't think that it's because of paedophiles finding young girls attractive. There is an argument, I know you possibly disagree, Catherine, but there is an argument that 12-year-old, 13, 14-year-old boys, surprisingly, they do find 12-year-old girls sexually attractive. And it might be a distraction. That might
Yeah,
be. But
I know.
I think there's a bigger issue of just representing the school and learning to follow rules.
Yeah, and not being at school to show off. And there is a lot of showing off that goes on. I mean, flipping heck. Remember college? Every day was a catwalk, wasn't it? Joan the Moan, thank goodness she's gone. Rules are rules. Head teacher is spot on. Some quite personal stuff. We don't need to go there.
Here's one. If it's the use of the word humiliated that puzzles me. What is humiliating about a teacher telling off a pupil? That happens every day in schools. They are there to learn, and if that includes learning to follow rules, then there's nothing wrong with that. Some people are bolshy just for the sake of it, says Janet. Well, OK, let's go to John. Morning, John.
Good morning, Ian. How you doing, brother?
Well, I've woken up now, boss. What you got for me?
I just had to say, that Joanna woman, I pity that fool, Ian. That was absolutely epic. I loved listening to that. That was crazy. I completely agree with the headmistress. She was amazing, and she was just, I would say, a real credit to head teachers. You know, everybody usually put them down and say, oh, they're not interested in the school and they're not doing well. I think she's doing a fantastic job, because when I used to drop off my stepsons to their school, it was like a catwalk show. I was embarrassed driving through that little area because the skirts were so high, the makeup. It felt like a nightclub gig I was doing. It was an absolute nightmare. It wasn't representing of the school anyway.
I just think, and as when I was younger, I kind of knew sort of what school uniform was about, but I didn't like wearing it. And I thought, but you know what? Tough. Looking back now, as a dad who's got two kids who are, starting school, I kind of think, yeah, tough. There are reasons for it, and you'll get those reasons later on. You might not get them now, but you'll get them later on. Hey, you never guess what? You know, Joanna had to go. She ran out of time.
Oh, yeah.
She's back. Morning again, Joanna.
Ian,
thought you had to go.
Try and mock me on the radio because there's absolutely no need.
I'm not. I thought you had. I know there's no need.
Do have to go. I have
You're doing it yourself.
children to get ready for school.
Okay. Well, what
I'm
would
not
you?
going to listen to you trying to ridicule me and all the parents.
I'm not ridiculing you, Joanna. Honestly, you've embarrassed yourself.
Ian.
What would you like to say? What have you called back for to say?
I would like to say, Ian, basically, you should ring back Susanna Collins and ask her how many kids went home from school. She sent home from school.
We've just done this argument, Joanna.
Ian,
we've just done this argument.
I've got equally as many as you have got.
Okay. Joanna.
Ian,
okay, that's great.
Because to try and
here we go.
the parents either.
I'm not ridiculing the parents. What I'm saying is, Joanna, there are school rules. You broke the school rules. Deal with it.
Ian,
and your attitude is atrocious.
School rules by buying the schools from the school shop.
Did you try it on?
Yes.
You got what's the name of what's the school shop?
Almar.
Because I thought you said you got yours from Marks and
Mine
Spencer's.
in Marks and Spencer's.
So you didn't even buy yours from the school shop.
Ian,
you didn't even buy yours from the school shop.
The skirts on in the shop.
You didn't even buy your skirt. You didn't even buy your skirt from the school shop.
On behalf of the parents
I don't want you, Joanna. This is the thing. This is how conversations work. I'm not interested in anybody else who's not talking to me. I'm talking to you.
Okay,
so
let's
please,
talk about me then, Ian.
Exactly. I'd love to. So you didn't buy your skirt from the school shop.
No, I didn't, Ian. I bought mine in Marks and Spencer's, longer length skirt.
So I wondered why you were telling me that why were you? Gosh, you really are. You've really got. I feel
you
so
don't like
sorry.
It someone's standing up to you.
No, someone's being rude to me.
And you're not being rude
someone's
back.
Someone's
Ian,
acting.
I don't really care anyway about your rudeness.
But then you've called back.
I just want to ring back to defend myself because you're slagging me off on the radio because you've got nothing better to do.
No, if you. I thought you didn't listen. B, if you were listening properly, you know
all these texts saying, "Oh, Ian Lee slagging you off on the radio." It's ridiculous. You're just trying to make the situation at Tring seem stupid.
Okay, so you're not listening. So you don't know what I've said that's slagging you off. Another ill-founded argument.
One of the comments on the Facebook page.
Listen, Joanne, if you're going to be rude,
what are you going to do? Hit and run on me now, Ian?
No, you can stay here till 8 o'clock.
It's fine by me. I've got to take my kids to school though, so. You don't know what you're talking about is the problem, you see.
Yes, I do.
No, but you don't, because that's why you're getting so angry and upset. You don't know the facts. You've proceeded to try and interview the teacher without having all the facts, Ian.
I'm not.
So it's you who's made yourself look stupid, not me.
Okay. All right, Joanne.
I didn't buy my kid's skirt in Almar. Lots of other parents did.
And they've only had 13 returns.
Of course the school are going to say that, aren't they, as well, Ian?
No, the shop have said that. The shop have said that to us.
The shop are going to say that to try and minimise their bad publicity, Ian.
Well, no, they're not, because if the shop... If the shop had a big problem and was being presented as the bad guys in this, then surely they would come forward and say, we've had loads of complaints and we just don't know what's going on. They're not. They told our reporter, Justin, we've only had 13 returns.
The shop aren't the bad guys. The school are the bad guys for checking the skirt and saying that the skirt was acceptable for Almar to sell. So, in effect, it goes back to the school being in the wrong, Ian. And besides the point, the school
You didn't buy yours. You didn't buy yours from that
children
school.
Without letting the parents know. That is the main issue here that people are worried about and concerned about. Not, in fact, the school skirt, Ian. You're getting the whole point of it wrong.
OK, just you've been talking about the school skirt for so long, I thought that was the point. Can I just say one thing?
It started with the school skirt, but it's ended in the teacher sending loads of children home without supervision.
Can I just say one more thing, and then I'm going to let you go, because I just think you're kind of dragging the show down a bit.
As if it needs me.
And you just... And that's an example of what I'm going to say. Isn't it interesting?
Like the truth.
Isn't it interesting that we're talking about 12-year-old kids, and you've infantilised yourself, haven't you? I don't know if you're always like this, but you've infantilised yourself. I just think that's really interesting.
You are so annoying and so ridiculous and so incompetent at trying to do interviews with people without all the facts in. It makes people angry.
It's just interesting that you've infantilised yourself.
Really angry because you don't know the facts before you launch off on these big parade things.
Do you know?
Start things about knowing all the facts. When you know the facts, come back and present a proper radio show. I'll come into studio.
No, you won't. No, you won't. You ain't coming anywhere near me. Do you know what
You can't handle it because you know you're matching me because I'm right and you're wrong because you haven't got all the facts.
Do you know? And you're doing it now.
Stories on your show, and now you're doing it with Tring School. Look, it's been a wonderful day.
Hit and run.
This is by no means a hit and run, Ian.
Do you know what infantilised means?
Hit and run. Goodbye, Tuesday. It's just ridiculous. Goodbye.
Wow, that's like a poor man's Katie Hopkins.
Isn't it interesting? I don't know if she's always like that. We're talking about kids, and she's reverted to the role of a child, and we're talking about
schoolyard antics.
We're talking about staff and teachers and head teachers telling young people what to do, and she has reacted to that. This is what I'm making up. She has reacted to that by acting like a child. I think that's fascinating.
That was insane. Well, the thing is, Ian, a parent like that, I just kind of wonder what type of child she kind of brings up. I'm not saying just the child or anything, but
listen,
the rules. If she's into twisting the rules herself, it's just like
I don't want to criticise any kids that aren't here. I don't want to criticise any kids and necessarily any parenting skills. But John, thank you very much indeed. I mean. She'll probably call back in another 5 minutes because her friend will text her. She hasn't got time. Well, she didn't have time.
She doesn't listen.
Them. 0345. Sorry, we're going to have to come to you after the news. I'm so sorry. 03459 455 555 is the telephone number. Let's see if we can find one of the parents impacted by this who can speak like a parent, an adult. Would that be okay? Can we do that? I'm sure there are loads out there. 03459 455 555. Where are we now? Let's get the travel.
Travel news for beds, cards and bugs.
BBC Three Counties Radio.
There are queues on the M25 anti-clockwise approaching junction 20 for Kings Langley from junction 21 for the M1 because the exit slip road is partially blocked by a car fire. And also anti-clockwise on the M25, it's slow from Potters Bar towards junction 23 for the A1M. And on the A10 into London, it's slow from Baltimore Lane towards Southbury Road. The M1 southbound's also looking very busy from junction 10 for Luton Airport to junction 7 for Hemel Hempstead. Samantha Bruff, BBC Three Counties Radio.
Thank you, Sammy. Thank you, Joanna. There's no way she's coming within 100 yards of me. Flipping heck. She'll start pulling my hair and giving me dead arms.
Local and vocal across beds, hearts and bucks.
This is BBC Three Counties Radio.
It's 8 o'clock. I'm Simon Oxley. The headlines: Buckinghamshire MP backing government over drone killings. Councils say extra funds will be needed to cope with refugees. And Hertfordshire Head defends short skirt policy.
BBC Three Counties Radio.
The government's facing calls to give more details of the circumstances surrounding the killing of 2 British men in an RAF drone strike in Syria last month. The Prime Minister told Parliament yesterday that one of the men had been actively plotting attacks in Britain after joining Islamic State militants. Labour says ministers should publish the legal advice on which the decision was made. The former Attorney General and Beaconsfield MP Dominic Grieve is backing David Cameron.
The Attorney General was present in the chamber when the Prime Minister was speaking. It would be a bit difficult for the Attorney to be there if he thought the Prime Minister was misleading Parliament on that issue. So my view is that the Attorney would have had ample opportunity to look at the background intelligence, to understand the issues involved and to provide the legal advice.
MPs will hold an emergency debate today on the migrant crisis and the announcement that up to 20,000 Syrian refugees will be allowed to settle in Britain over the next 5 years. The scheme will apply only to those living in camps in the Middle East and not to those who've already made the journey to Europe. But the leader of Buckinghamshire County Council, Martin Tett, says councils will need money to pay for it.
Government must step up to the plate on this. We're looking here at very large amounts of money over an extended period of time. This is not a few £1 million on a one-off basis from the overseas aid budget. You know, this is going to be a large amount of money over many, many years to come.
A court has heard how a Bedfordshire scrap metal dealer was beaten to death by 2 men he'd supplied cocaine to. The men deny murder. Adam Fennelly from Dunstable was found dead at Nash Park Travellers site in Buckinghamshire in March this year. More from Gail Sanderson.
Luton Crown Court heard how the 31-year-old had suffered head and facial injuries and had 159 separate injuries on his body. Giving evidence, his 28-year-old partner, Jess Slade, said Mr Fennelly's behaviour changed 2 weeks before he was killed and he started taking drugs. She gave birth to his daughter a month after he died. Addie McAllister from Bolsover in Derbyshire and 30-year-old Gemma Price from the Ridgeway in Kensworth near Dunstable both deny murder. The case continues.
3 people were injured in a 2-car collision which closed the A5 in Milton Keynes yesterday evening. The emergency services, including an air ambulance, were called just before 6 o'clock to the southbound carriageway between Stacey Bushes and central Milton Keynes. 1 injured man had to be cut free by firefighters. Another man and a woman were also hurt. The head teacher at Tring School has defended its uniform policy after girls were sent home because their skirts were too short. Parents have criticised the decision to send youngsters home, claiming many were not informed and were not at home to look after the youngsters. But head Sue Collings says the majority of parents back the stance.
It is just a small group now of parents that have decided to take it elsewhere, let's put it that way. As far as I'm concerned, you know, that's their choice. However, we're not bending on this. We are going ahead, and students are they are wearing our uniform and they're wearing it correctly.
In sport, Andy Murray is out of the US Open after losing in 4 sets to South Africa's Kevin Anderson. The weather dry with sunny spells, a maximum temperature 17 degrees Celsius, and you can get the latest news and sport online at bbc.co.uk/3 counties.
Oh, that means it's me, doesn't it? When you stop, that's me, isn't it? Have I got that right?
That's it.
Thank you. Sorry.
This is Iain Lee
on BBC Three Counties Radio.
03459 455 555. The subject of Tring School. Anne's in Hemel. Morning, Anne.
Good morning.
What would you like to say?
I'd just like to say that I know nothing about the rights and wrongs of the Tring case, but I worked in a senior school for many, many years and brought up 3 children. Please, schools don't always get it right. Go in quietly to the school without your child with you and make your case. Once you do this, making it public, you are running the school down in front of the child, and the child then realises that they are in charge of you and the school, and it's not doing them any favours.
What a brilliant way of putting it.
I'm in tears because I just feel this is all so unnecessary and it's not putting the child's interests at the
Why is this upsetting you so much, Anne? And I can hear you're upset.
Because we worked so hard as a school to get it right because the children are top priority. Please, it's not doing them any favours to let them think that they are totally in charge of a situation.
And thank you very much for your call.
Thank you.
Thank you. Isn't that interesting? Didn't she put that in a brilliant way? And of course, we all want to defend our kids. And if our kids have been slighted, we want to right that, and we want justice. And some parents may want revenge, which I think is incorrect and is dangerous. And it's difficult to accept sometimes. When you're parenting a kid, you're in control of that kid, okay, and they follow your rules and they do what you say. Then they go to nursery and they get influences from other people and they have to abide by other rules. They're kind of a bit slack because it's nursery. Then they go to school and there are other people in the rules. And the higher they get up that school, the older they get, the more rules there are and the more authority other people have over your children. Got your form tutor. You got your if you're in a school that has different teachers for different subjects, you've got those teachers. You've got your head teacher. And it's partly, and I'm dreading it, letting go and realising, you're letting your kids into the world and you can't be there every time someone tells off one of your kids or disciplines your kids. You can't be there. And no, it's not always right.
There is a reflex, though, isn't there? Because
Yeah.
I got a text from my daughter's school about a year ago, and I remember being really cross about it because I thought it was high-handed.
Yeah.
Said, your child is coming to school without their PE socks. They had to go to lost property. Can you make sure it doesn't happen again? It was said in a more blunt way than that, and it was a text out of nowhere. And I was flipping cross about it, but actually, underneath it, when I calmed down, it's my fault. I was cross with myself.
Iain, you totally missed the point in that many parents involved believed they were following the rules and the school dealt with the confusion heavy-handed. And that's interesting. I'm going to go back and we're going to deconstruct this text. Sorry, I'll be with you in a second. Iain Lee, you totally missed the point in that many parents involved believed they were. You've highlighted the word were. I'm highlighting the word believed. Many parents missed the point. You missed the point in that many parents involved believed they were following the rules. Yeah, they believed they were, but they weren't. They weren't. And to phone up and to say, well, we all bought our skirts from the official school shop. Did you buy yours from there? No, we got it from Marks and Spencer's. Well, okay, well, let me. You then can't argue on behalf of the shop. And the shop only had 13 or 14 complaints so far. That may go up.
Do you have a quick word with Sarah?
Yes, I do want to have a quick word with Sarah. Morning, Sarah.
Morning, Ian. How are you?
I'm all right, thank you very much. I've got a nice cup of coffee. What have you got for us?
Good for you.
I
God,
need that.
you needed it after that call.
Didn't I just? Yeah, go on.
Basically, what you just said, there is a big difference between believe and knowing.
Yeah.
I think you and I are of similar ages, and if I remember at school, there wasn't a couple of occasions where me and my brother tried to flounce the school rules. Letter got sent home to the parents, and do you know what? Parents actually had a go at us and not at school.
I remember when I got the slipper. When this is how old I am. I was 10 years old. I got the slipper and I was devastated. And I went home to my mum and dad, and my mum was really upset. And she said, right, we're going to sort this out. And my dad phoned up the school and spoke to the teacher who had given me the slipper. And he came back and he said, right, I've just spoken to Mr. Smith. Mm-hmm. Did you do this, this and this? I went, yeah. I went, right, well, you deserved it then. Get up to your room. And I got told off.
Yeah, you got into double trouble, and I think Joanna, I've been following it on Facebook, and I think, to be honest, going back to the caller who was, very upset, and my heart went out to her.
Yeah,
she's exactly right. This could have been done a completely different way. My parents, made appointments, or one appointment for my brother because he didn't wear a blazer. And it was, it was a sit down with the head of year and the form tutor, and it was discussed in a reasonable manner. And I think, to be honest, Ian, I switched off when Joanna was talking. I literally switched off the radio because I thought, you know what, you have just done all these parents a complete disservice. You went to the papers, you went on Facebook. It was all this big rigmarole. At the end of the day, follow the rules, and it's indicative by the fact that parents now have to sign a contract with the school to say that their kids will abide by the rules. My parents didn't do that. I'm sure your parents didn't either.
You and the last caller have made me think about something, and maybe I'm getting a little bit above my station here, but in the last 10 years, we all expect all of our problems to be heard by as many people as we can, and we expect to shout as loud as we can because we go on, I mean, fair play, I was doing it in a shop the other day on Twitter. We go on Twitter, we go on Facebook, we go to local papers, we phone up radio shows and we say, I've been wronged and I want to shout about it. And it's weird. Instead of going to the source, instead of saying, can I make an appointment to see the head or the deputy head, please?
Yeah.
Catherine picked out a story in the paper earlier on, a pregnant woman in the paper. She'd booked a seat on a train. The seat was taken. So instead of asking the gentleman to move, she went to the Sun newspaper and complained, and it's... Or going to a member of staff on the train. So instead of going to the people who might be able to help with our problem, we go on Twitter and we create a hashtag, and we go on Facebook and we start a Facebook page. Now, I'm not saying that these teachers have got, these parents have got a right to be aggrieved. Sending their kids home, I want to find out how many kids were sent home because that's a little bit snarky in my book. And it's inappropriate. Saying that, I was sent home at 13 at school, so... Oh, I don't know.
But Iain, at the end of the day, if these kids left school property, if the school had called the parents and said, we're going to have to send your kid home, most kids have a mobile. Why didn't the parent phone the kid and say, stay in school?
If I've got this right, I don't think... again, another example of this great school. I think I've got this right. They don't allow mobiles in the school. I think I heard that on another radio show last week. So well done again, the headmistress. And I genuinely, I mean it. I would be more than happy to entrust my kids with her because she sounds like she's passionate about getting the best for the kids.
Exactly. I mean, we used to have to kneel on the floor to make sure that our skirts were of a length.
Did you really?
If a letter got sent,
See, that's a bit weird.
Oh, it was a Catholic school.
Oh, well, there you go. You see, you got off lightly in that case.
You would get in trouble with your parents. I think there has to be a united front in front of the kids, which is any aggrievement that you have about the school, you take it to the school. You don't put it on social media. You don't go to the papers because, as I think it was Anne who was the woman who was very upset. The kids then hold the power. At the end of the day, the kids go to school to learn respect for themselves, to learn respect for adults. And if, all this, whatever this is, explosion of emotion and my child was upset, children get upset.
It was the story was sold to us that it was a problem with the official school supplier and that like 100 people had returned. Well, it's not, because she was, as Joanna said, she got us from Marks and Spencer's. So the problem is parents cocked up and they're embarrassed, and that's fine. Exactly. That's fine. Yeah. Accept it and deal with it and stop embarrassing your kids. Sorry, nice to talk to you. Thank you very much indeed. I've got to move on. 03459 455 555 is the telephone number if you want to give us a call. You can text 81333, start your text 3CR, or you can you can tweet. Let's play nice, guys. Come on, let's play nice.
Yeah, there's no need to get personal or childish about it. It's already been done.
Yeah. I don't like to necessarily. I'm not. I'm not Joanna. I'm getting personal there. It was a cheap shot. Next. But there's no need to get personal. She almost did. She
did an impression of you.
She mocked my stammer. I have a little bit of a stammer when I'm thinking. It's not like a proper stammer. Is it a stammer or stutter in this country? One's American, one's English. I'm going to say stammer. It's not a stammer, but sometimes when I'm thinking and I'm thinking of three things at once and I'm thinking what my question's going to be, I do a little stammer. She mocked that. She almost
took the nick out of the programme generally.
She almost did didn't she?
Yeah.
I think she did.
Anyway, it doesn't matter.
Doesn't matter. Just go and buy a new skirt, be fine. 03459 455 555 is the telephone number if you want to give us a call. I'm going to lighten the mood. In a minute. I tell you what we'll do is travel there, because we're going to go to travel first. We'll go to travel early, do the news, and then we're gonna pull a greatest hit out of the bag, shall we? And do something for the loyal listeners who've had to sit through all of this fighting
before
today.
we cross to Calais and the migrant camps.
There we go, ladies and gentlemen.
Travel news for beds, cards and bugs.
BBC Three Counties Radio.
On the M25 anti-clockwise, there are queues approaching junction 20 for Kings Langley because of a car fire earlier on the exit slip road. On the M1 southbound, it's slow from junction 10 for Luton Airport to 7 Pembrokeshire Hempstead. And the A1 southbound is also very busy from the Holiday Inn towards the Broadway at Mill Hill Circus. Also in Watford, it's looking busy on the speed sensors at Exchange Road at the junction for Beach and Grove. And the A1 southbound is slow approaching the Black Cat roundabout from the St Leo's junction. Samantha Bruff, BBC Three Counties Radio.
Thank you, Sammy. A greatest hit coming out of the bag, a blast from the past, a golden mouldy. Before that, 8:15, bang on. It's Tuesday, the 8th of September. I'm Iain Lee. These are your headlines on BBC Three Counties Radio. Labour is pressing ministers to publish the legal advice for the decision to order an RAF drone strike in Syria, in which 2 British jihadis were killed last month. MPs will hold an emergency debate today on the refugee crisis, and the head teacher at Tring School has defended its uniform policy after girls were sent home because their skirts were too short.
We've had a brilliant summer of cricket.
That's Edson Court, it's all over.
But once again, we're also celebrating our unsung sporting heroes.
He has such passion for sport. I'm extremely proud of what we've achieved here.
Who will you nominate? We're looking for someone who inspires people to get involved in sport across beds, hearts and bucks.
He's funny, he's never strict with you, so you don't feel pressured.
To make your nominations, go to bbc.co.uk/unsunghero and download an entry form. The closing date is Thursday, 22nd of October, with our 2015 Unsung Hero announced at the BBC Sports Personality of the Year in December.
She cares about everyone else more than she does about herself.
Get inspired, get nominating.
I'm not sure how legit this version is, but it cost me 79 pence, OK?
There's a voice keeps on calling me.
It'll do.
Down the road, that's where I'll always be. Every stop I make, I'll make a new friend. Can't stay for long, just turn around and I'm gone again. Maybe tomorrow I'll wanna settle down. Until tomorrow I'll just keep moving on. Down this road that never seems to end. When you adventure, lies just around the bend. So if you wanna join me for a while, just grab your hat, come travel light, that's global style. Maybe tomorrow I'll wanna settle down. Until tomorrow, the whole world is my home. So if you wanna join me for a while, just grab your hat, come travel light, that's Volvo style. Maybe tomorrow I'll wanna settle down. Until tomorrow I'll just keep moving on. Down. Until tomorrow I'll just keep moving on. There's a world that's waiting to unfold, a brand new tale no one has ever told. We've journeyed far but you know it won't be long. We're almost there, we paid our fare with our hobo song. Maybe tomorrow I'll wanna settle down. Until tomorrow I'll just keep moving on. So if you wanna join me for a while, just grab your hat, come travel light, that's hobo style. Maybe tomorrow I'll find what I call home.
The best email ever about Tring.
Tomorrow, you know I'm free to roam.
That's not official Disney merchandise, by the way, what I've just played. That is unofficial Disney merchandise. Kevin's. This is the best email ever. And then we'll move on to the next story. Oh, no, not that one. That's not from Kevin, because Kevin... Paul says, if you love the Tring School so much, you should give us all a rest and go and be a school teacher there.
Actually, it's quite
I would love to.
Yeah.
Paul, do you know what? The way things are going here at the moment, I would love to. I don't think I'd meet their standards. They've obviously got excellent high standards, and I just don't think I'll be able to meet them. But thank you. It's certainly worth... I did look at being a primary school teacher about 7 or 8 years ago when it was all going a little bit quiet, and I thought, do you know what? I'm getting no satisfaction from this nonsense, arguing with idiots on the radio. I'm going to do something worthwhile. And because I was a bloke, the head teacher almost literally embraced me. I went to like an evening where they were looking for teachers, and I phoned up a primary school and said, look, I'm thinking of becoming a primary. And the guy said, yeah, come in, man, come in. And I spent the day doing it, and I had to get like 5 days experience before signing up for the teaching course. And then found out we were having a kid, and I got offered a really well-paid job. And I thought, today is not the day to make a career change. But one day, Paul, it would be an honour to. Thank you very much indeed. 03459 455 555 is the telephone number. Now, a wave of goodwill towards refugees camping in Calais, Turkey and outlying areas of Syria has led to appeal after appeal for donations here in the three counties. While the wrangling over how to deal with the situation continues in Westminster, small charities and private individuals have been loading up lorries and heading across the Channel. But the word coming from some of those coordinating aid efforts in Calais is that they might be doing more harm than good. Well, Maya Conforti is the woman in charge of coordinating aid distribution once it gets to the jungle, as it's called. But people apparently aren't respecting the system. Morning, Maya. What's happening?
Well, we've had a massive arrival of goods coming from the UK and even Belgium and a little bit from Holland. And first, we haven't had the room to store all this. And also some people have done some distribution by themselves without knowing, how the jungle works. It's not quite a normal place. And so we've had, distributions that went badly. And mostly, if you put in your lorry or in your van things that the refugees don't need, like high heels.
No, they've not been bringing. Have they actually been bringing high heels?
Yes,
Gosh.
We have seen there are high heels laying around the ground in the jungle. So people just don't, everything needs to be sorted out in an extremely precise way in order to do a distribution. And you need experienced people on the ground to do distribution.
I guess, high heels and all of those things, people's heart is in the right place.
Yes.
But it needs a little bit more. You need a little bit more than just heart, don't you, to make this work and effective?
Yes, definitely. People's hearts are in the right place. We are incredibly grateful. However, we are, asking everybody to hold off bringing more things because, we did not expect this tidal wave of goodness, and so we need to deal with it. We've had to get new storage places, and the storage places are already full. So, we are full to the brim, and we're asking that people stop bringing things as much as they can. Just keep them in storage in England until they can be brought here, because they will be used.
Has there been an increase in people offering stuff and help since the picture of Iain Kurdi appeared on the front pages? Is that what turned it, do you think?
Actually, it has probably increased things, but it actually started a good week before this picture appeared in the news.
Okay.
And when it started appearing, it was from people who were not happy with the politics of David Cameron and said, we need to do something to show we don't like what he's doing with the refugees.
So what would you're there? You're on the ground. How many people are you working with in numbers of refugees? How many refugees are you in contact?
3,500.
How many? Sorry.
3,500.
Flippin' heck! And who's it? This question may make no sense, so excuse its naivety. Who's in charge?
Nobody.
Wow.
It's a place where there's no central administration and no central organization. There is the Jules Ferry Center, which is government-run, but it's only a day center. The jungle itself has nobody in charge, just a bunch of people who help, and basically 3 small NGOs, local NGOs, who help there. But there's nobody who's boss.
I've in kind of reading up on what we were talking about today, that I've heard, and you can tell me if this is right or wrong, that people are bringing stuff, and it's kind of, I don't want to sound harsh, kind of a survival of the fittest. So some of the pushier refugees, and I don't mean that to sound like an insult, are more able to get the stuff that's being given than perhaps some of the quieter, shyer refugees. Is that right?
Well, I mean, you're going to get that in any kind of crowd. You take a bunch of British people, they will do exactly the same.
Oh, yeah, human nature, yeah, of course.
So it is definitely human nature, not linked to these people being refugees or not being well behaved. But, this is why we want to distribute the things ourselves or, with the people who bring the things, but with some direction, because we know how to handle the crowds, we know how to handle the lines, we know how to make sure people don't cheat, and so forth. Today at noon, we're starting a distribution of 2,000 pairs of shoes, and this is going to be very well organized.
Listen, you're on the ground, and it's we're in a very privileged position to speak to somebody who, and I saw you on telly all over the weekend, to speak to somebody who's there and dealing with this. People are listening to this and they think, right, I want to help, and they're about to load up their cars full of sleeping bags and stuff like that. What would you say to them? What do they need to do?
I'm telling them, don't come right now. We're too inundated with things. Please don't come now. Come maybe in a couple of months when the winter will have settled in and, it will rain a lot. That's when we will need you more, or we'll need more things. And please, if you want to help in your area. See if there's asylum seekers in your area. Help those people. They need integration in your country, and there's much to do around your area. Calais is not the only place in the world where there's refugees.
And David Cameron's announcement, 20,000 refugees spread out over 5 years.
It's a drop in the bucket. So we will take the crumbs, just like the crumbs that François Hollande is giving us. It's not much better. It's 24 in 2 years. So we will take the crumbs, but it's far from enough, and we'll keep on pushing for more welcome of refugees.
Mark and Forty, I'm really pleased we got to speak to you today. Thank you very much.
You're more than welcome.
Thank you. There we go. What a difference in... I really appreciate that. She's there and she's dealing with it. Isn't it interesting saying, no more stuff now, please. Just let us get through what we've got here. What a difference. In the last 30 minutes, we've really had the two extremes of human nature, haven't we? Right. Couple of things. You can call in and talk about Tring School. If you're involved in it, if your kid goes to that school, if your kid was sent home, if your kid wasn't sent home, you can talk to me. Just please, don't mock someone having a stammer when they're trying to think. Don't shout. We can have a conversation about it. We can do that. 03459 455 555. Cards on the table. Cards on the tail. I was trying to say nail my colours to the mast at the same time. I kind of agree with the head teacher. If she sent kids home without notifying the parents, that's a different issue, and we're trying to find out how many kids were sent home, indeed, if the parents weren't notified. But I'm on the side of the school. You break the rules, well, that's, and then particularly if it's something like dress, well, that's the parents' fault. 03459 455 555. And also, if you can put forward, we were talking about this earlier, and then we kind of went off on a short skirt track. If you can put forward an intelligent argument as to why we shouldn't take refugees that doesn't involve we're full, we should look after our own first, we don't want them over here. If it doesn't involve those arguments, come forth and speak, because I want to hear your argument as to why we shouldn't have refugees. Not migrants. It's different from migrants. Refugees. People fleeing persecution and war. Asylum seekers. Different from migrants. 03459 455 555 is the telephone number.
Can I put out a little plea?
Yeah.
Can people stop ringing up and trying to leave messages? Because it's a phone-in programme. So by all means, if you want to send us a text, that's fine. But really, it's a conversation we're having rather than like a pen pal thing.
Kath won't pass any messages on that you leave with her. So
that's not me being rude. It's just me trying to organise a radio programme.
Yeah, it's not an answer phone show. It's a phone-in show. If you've got something you want to say, phone up your mate and tell him. Leave a voicemail there.
I mean, you're really welcome.
But, thank you. Thank you, Catherine. 03459 455 555. Oh, no, hang on. It's this button.
Travel news for beds, cards and bugs.
BBC Three Counties Radio.
There is still long delays on the M25 anti-clockwise from approaching junction 20 for Kings Langley after the exit slip road got partially blocked by a vehicle fire earlier. On the anti-clockwise M25 as well between junction 24 for Potters Bar and 23 for the A1M, it's looking very slow, and it's busy on the M1 southbound from junction 10 for Luton Airport to 7 for Hemel Hempstead. On the A1 approaching the Black Cat roundabout, it's slow southbound from the St Neots junction, and looking at the speed sensors through Dunstable, the High Street's looking very slow in both directions. That's both the High Street North and High Street South, and looking quite slow on the approach on Church Street as well. Samantha Bruff, BBC Three Counties Radio.
Across beds, hearts and bugs.
This is BBC Three Counties Radio.
It's 8:30, I'm Simon Oxley. Labour is pressing ministers to publish the legal advice for the decision to order an RAF drone strike in Syria, in which 2 British jihadis were killed last month. MPs will hold an emergency debate today on the migrant crisis. The leader of Buckinghamshire County Council says councils will need extra funding to deal with Syrian refugees. The head teacher at Tring School has defended its uniform policy after girls were sent home because their skirts were too short. And Hertfordshire singer Sam Smith has confirmed he will sing the theme for the new James Bond film.
Three Counties Sports.
BBC Three Counties Radio.
Andy Murray has suffered his earliest Grand Slam exit for 5 years, losing his 4th round tie at the US Open in 4 sets against South Africa's 15th seed Kevin Anderson.
Obviously managed to get the 3rd set, and then the beginning of the 4th set, obviously when you win a set like that, obviously the beginning of the next set is very important. I had an opportunity in his first service game, didn't manage to get it, and then he served very well after that.
Victory for the Republic of Ireland, a draw for Northern Ireland and defeat for Scotland in last night's European Championship qualifiers. The Republic stay in contention for a playoff place after beating Georgia 1-0. Northern Ireland scored a stoppage time equaliser to draw 1-1 at home to Hungary. 2 points from their final 2 games will seal qualification, and Scotland lost 3-2 at home to Germany. Scotland need to take at least 4 points from their last 2 games to have any chance of a playoff place. Tonight England, who have already qualified, host Switzerland at Wembley. Here's manager Roy Hodgson.
It's a match at Wembley. It's a match against an opponent that was very highly rated after the World Cup. They were the top seeds in our group, in actual fact. And, we would really like to beat them. We'd like to beat them for every conceivable reason. And most of our preparation during the time we've been together has been with this match in mind.
The Wales fullback Lee Halfpenny is out of the Rugby World Cup after rupturing knee ligaments during Saturday's win over Italy. England's cricketers face Australia in the 3rd one-day international at Old Trafford later today. And in Speedway's Premier League, Rye House lost 52-41 at home to Peterborough last night, despite 17 points from Edward Kennett. BBC Three Counties News and Sport. The next full bulletin is at 9.
Never did too well at school, but I learned all I need to know. Like how to change a tyre and clean myself from head to toe. But some knowledge has eluded me, and one puzzle still remains. What on earth is the mystery of Abbas Langley Fire Brigade? Did all the helmets go missing one day, or did a dog get stuck up a tree? Did a ghost one night go down their pole? Pray tell, because it's torturing me. Tell us the secret, let the cat out of the bag, because the puzzle still remains. What on earth is the mystery of Abbas Langley Fire, Abbas Langley Fire, Abbas Langley Fire Brigade?
What text?
We had a text earlier on from Marcia in Bedford.
Morning, by the way.
Who says, we were wrong, she's telling us both off, to mention 12-year-old boys. This is talking about the school uniform row. We were wrong to mention 12-year-old boys. Catherine talking about girls showing off.
What?
Isn't that the excuse given by bullies who force women to cover up? Stick to the point, it's about uniform and school rules.
Sorry?
Well, no, we were trying to work out why the short skirt thing is such an issue.
Trust me, I was a 12-year-old boy. Towards the end of being 12, I'm struggling to remember through the mist of time. 12, 13, definitely. you know, I could barely stand up. Seriously, I was constantly, you know, because there's hormones. 12-year-old boys find 12-year-old boys find 14, 15-year-old girls very, very sexually attractive. Fact.
It's a shame because 14, 15-year-old girls can't see 12-year-old boys.
They're not interested in the slightest.
And the thing is,
interested in the slightest.
I'm not suggesting that we cover up to save anybody else having to control themselves. We're not taking it that far. But what I'm saying is that it is, you know, the human condition at teenage to want to show off and peacock a little bit. And
to do what?
Peacock.
Because
why else? I mean, we used to modify our ties and put them skinny ways out. What for?
We're talking about that, the school skirts. And boy, if you miss Joanna, you're going to want to listen to the podcast. We're also talking about, can you give me a good, intelligent, intellectual argument as to why we shouldn't accept refugees, okay? Big Ron's got one on the text. Refugees, have we got enough burqas, mosques, Hilal knives to allow them to blend in seamlessly?
Calls himself Big Ron.
I don't know what that means.
Overcompensating, I suggest.
I don't know what that means. Oh, God, I'm going to the House of Lords today.
Gosh.
Yeah,
Take your bell.
Do you need anything?
Yeah. Some cheap booze.
I'll see what I can get. Chris is on the line. Morning, Chris.
Morning, Ian. Very entertaining this morning, I have to say.
Well, you sound surprised. Isn't it always?
No, not like this. This is like fire and brimstone, my love.
Fire and indeed brimstone, my love.
Right. 3 things.
Yeah.
First one, embarrassment at school.
Yes.
When I was just in my development years, about 13, 14, I didn't take my PE kit to school.
Oh.
I was made to run around the school pitch in my bra, knickers, and I used to wear a full petticoat underneath.
At the age of 14?
Yep, right, and it was the last lesson of the day, and I had to run through the tunnel into the girls' changing rooms past everyone coming out of class.
No.
So that's what embarrassment is. So
was it a male teacher?
No, female teacher.
It's a female teacher? Blimey. Oh,
yep, right.
Yep.
Secondly, I think you should ask Steve if he'd like to go work at a refugee camp for a week or two.
This is Steve who was
a real personal case.
This is Steve who's on earlier, and he calls up from time to time. And do you know what? Sometimes I enjoy his badinage, and sometimes he prompts good conversation. But actually, I'm just tired of his really horrible. It's just snarky. Snarky is my new word. Snarky rhetoric. He won't. What's it? What?
The thing is, when you get into the personal feel of it with people, your opinion can change it.
It won't. It won't. He's got his. Listen, he's made his mind up, and that's all well and good. And I wouldn't want to change. I wouldn't necessarily want to change his mind. It's just there's a really nasty tone sometimes, and I don't want that anymore on my show.
We do have some empty properties in Luton where people have gone off to Syria, and maybe some of these.
Hey, there we go. We could do an exchange.
Yeah,
I'll be up for that. Now actually that makes sense. If you want to go over there and fight, that's fine. But can you leave your keys and can you send a family of 4 back to replace? I'll be up for that. That makes great sense.
Very good. Hands up who doesn't want to stay.
Yeah,
Off
we
you
go.
I'm thinking that the people that are coming from Syria can.
Stelios! Stelios, get a plane ready! I'm quoting John Gaunt now, of course.
Yeah, open the eyes of these people that are stupid enough to think it's brilliant out there and let them know why they're coming here and how dismal it can be out there for them.
OK, Chris, thank you very much indeed. Let's go to Sarah in Milton Keynes. Morning, Sarah.
Good morning.
Morning. What have you got for us?
Well, I'd just like to echo what Chris said, actually. It has been extremely entertaining this morning and has
do you know what?
driven me to call the show today, which I don't normally do.
You had a tone, and I sat back in my chair and assumed the defensive position because I thought she's going to have a go at me. You've got a tone that sounds like you're going to tell me off for something. Are you?
No, actually, no. I'm in full agreement with you today.
OK, go on then.
Which doesn't happen every day, if I'm honest.
Good. It would be boring if it did.
No, absolutely. Quite like a little bit of debate. So I'm just calling because Joanna infuriated me.
This is the mum
morning,
whose kid had the skirt that she took to school was too short. Yeah,
that's the one. Yeah, and it was more of the attitude of it. Actually, you know, we send our kids to school to be, you know, and we trust these teachers with our kids and their education, and they are figures of authority. And as parents, it is our responsibility to back those teachers. I've got a daughter who's 14, nearly 15 years old, and of course I took her out over the holidays and bought her school uniform, made sure the skirt was the appropriate length, etc., etc. So if I'd had a call from the school or a letter to say my daughter had been sent home because her skirt was inappropriate length, I would have made the assumption that my daughter had rolled her skirt up, because that's what teenagers do. Now, don't get me wrong, I'm like every other parent. I think the sun shines out of my daughter's backside because she is the most amazing thing on the planet.
No, she's not. My boys are the most amazing thing on the planet.
Okay, sub 15, okay?
Exactly. Go on then. Yeah, go on. Thank you.
But teenagers do that. Teenagers will hide things and they will lie to their parents. Not because they're bad people, but because that's what teenagers do.
Yeah.
And girls roll their skirts up because they want to fit in and because they want the boys to find them attractive. Obviously, that's not the reason that they're at school, and that's not what we want them to grow up to be. Now, I work for quite a large corporate organisation, and although I don't have a uniform to wear, there is still a dress code to adhere to. And if I came in with a short skirt on, I'd probably be sent home from work as well for wearing something that's inappropriate.
That's one of the
teaching your children about being brought up in the real world and having respect for authority and actually respect for themselves.
That's one of the byproducts of the school uniform that only dawned on me later on in life, is that it does teach you to dress appropriately, and it does teach you to respect your surroundings. And you're right, when you go to work, you can't dress in a. There are rules that may not be written or may not be spoken, but there are rules as to what you can and you can't wear.
Absolutely, and I think her. I mean, I overheard her say the second time she called in that she had to hang up the first time because she was getting her kids ready for school. So not only has she undermined the teacher's authority, she's come onto a local radio station for a story that's probably being heard nationally now and is bad-mouthing people. And that's the example that she's setting for her children. Yeah. And we're trying to teach them to be good adults, to function properly in society, and I'm just not sure how...
Sarah, listen, I've got to move on. Speaking of good adults functioning well in society, as I said, I'm going to the House of Lords later on today, where they're all good adults who function properly and within the confines of the law. I go there and I can get where do I go? Hello. How do I claim my £350 just for rocking up?
You've got to be there for a while. They have some sort of clocking in mechanism.
I'm going to be there for 2 hours and I want my £350.
I think you need a cape for it.
I'm dead. I've got ermine. I just need to kill it. I'm dead excited. I'm genuinely excited about going to the House of Lords.
You've got your smart trousers on.
Got my smart trousers, got a shirt and my jacket. I've just got a T-shirt on now.
Oh, I was going to say,
they're in the car.
Okay.
Ironed, ready to go. I've got a tie in my pocket. Oh, no, I've not. I think I left the tie at home. I just realised. Oh, well.
Oh, well.
What's Blackburn doing here? Come on, Blackburn's always here.
He loves it here, doesn't he?
Gets him out of the house.
Should we go to...
Do you want some Texas?
Let me quickly take Dillis. Let me take Dillis, then we'll do some Texas. I'm keen to see what Dillis has to say. Good morning, Dillis.
Good morning, Ian.
What have you got for us, Dillis?
What have I got? I've got the Bible.
Why have you got the Bible?
I've got Matthew 25.
Okay.
And it's a long piece, which I just bits out of it. But when the Son of Man comes in his glory, he will sit on his throne, and he will put the sheep on his right and the goats on his left. And he will say to the ones on his...
Is this to do with the school skirts?
Pardon?
Is this to do with the school skirts?
No, this is to do with the immigrants.
The refugees. Okay. Let's not read. We don't need to read the Bible. It's like reading poetry on the radio. It's not particularly.
No, I'm not reading. I'm just taking bits out of it. That's all.
Well, just give us. You don't need to read it. Just give us the essence. What's it saying in the Bible? Be awesome to everyone.
It says that the people on his right, the sheep, and the goats. On the left, the goats. The people on the right come into his kingdom because they welcomed him, visited him in prison, gave him food when he was hungry.
I have trouble, and I've read bits that I used to go to Sunday school and everything. I have trouble understanding. Just tell me in your own words what it is, what you're trying to tell me. Is Jesus saying we should have Syrians over here or not?
If they are in need, yes.
Yeah. So the Syrian Jesus is saying, and this is
if we welcome the refugees and look after them.
Yeah. And Jesus said that.
Jesus said that.
That is Dillis. Well, there you go. You don't get it from much higher authority than that. I mean, you could go to his dad, but Dillis, thank you very much. But you go to his dad's busy. His son said, "Hey, So the
You let him
Syrians,
speak for him,
the
didn't you?
Syrians goats or sheep? I'm confused. Anyway, it's
Heart was in the right place.
the heart was in the right place. I think this is one of the problems is bringing religion into it. Texas.
Yes. Right, I'm just going to scan through the ones that are a bit.
Dave says, warning, this show is not for vegetarians. It contains more beef than a butcher's shop. He's not wrong today.
Okay.
You've been quiet, Kelly. Sorry, let me. I've put that in the past tense. Let me correct that. You're still quiet, Kelly.
Hi.
No, you're not.
Okay.
Busy, innit?
Now, when I was at school, says Vanessa in Bedford.
Typing up her CV. Yes.
Up until 1972, problems with the length of skirts. So it's no different now. No, it's true. It's no different now, is it, Vanessa? Dave Luton says, can you please get this? Can you write this down, Ian?
Yeah, I'm going to write it down. Yeah, Dave says...
eBay item number.
God. Oh, right. Yeah, what?
291.
291.
189.
Hang on a minute. If we're going to do it...
We can find out what he's bought.
eBay.co.uk. Hang on a second. So,
I think this is meant for someone else, Dave Luton, but...
What's the eBay number?
Okay. 291.
Don't say it out on the radio,
Why not?
because I don't want everyone to go and buy it. Yeah, 291.
189.
189.
Yeah. 441.
441.
441.
Okay, well,
Oh, hang on a minute.
I've seen what it
Is
is.
it some light ponyship being taken?
Oh, fair play. Yeah, all right. It's he sent me the link for a Tuscany HD M354S USB silent, quiet, anti-noise, no-click mouse.
Can he get 3?
Thank you very much indeed.
Travel news for beds, cards and bugs.
BBC Three Counties Radio.
There are still delays on the M25 anti-clockwise approaching junction 20 for Kings Langley because of a car fire on the exit slip road earlier, so there's still a lane closed there too. Also anti-clockwise on the M25, it's busy between junction 17 for Maple Cross and 16 for the M40, and southbound on the M1 it's busy from junction 10 for Luton Airport to 7 for Hemel Hempstead, and looking at the speed sensors it's slow coming into Luton on New Bedford Road. It's busy in both directions there between the A6 and the South Beds Golf Club it's looking like, and also on the High Street in Dunstable it's looking slow in both directions. Samantha Bruff, BBC Three Counties Radio.
Thank you, Sammy. Hey, it's nearly the end of the show, flippin' heck. 8:46, Tuesday the 8th of September. I'm Iain Lee. These are your headlines on BBC Three Counties Radio. Labour is pressing ministers to publish the legal advice for the decision to order an RAF drone strike in Syria, in which 2 British jihadis were killed last month. MPs will hold an emergency debate today on the migrant crisis, and the head teacher at Tring School has defended its uniform policy after girls were sent home because their skirts were too short. Let's get the weather!
Beds, Hearts and Bucks weather.
BBC Three Counties Radio.
There is a bit of cloud around this morning, and this cloud in some parts thick enough to maybe produce a spot of rain, but probably only over higher ground. You're not going to feel it down below, so it's not all bad news. And this cloud hopefully will start to thin and break as we head through the day. So some sunny spells expected, or some bright spells. Temperature up to 17 Celsius, perhaps a touch warmer if the sun comes out for long enough. Now overnight the cloud moves back in. It's coming in from the North Sea actually, so from the coast it works its way towards us. And another cloudy night. 1 or 2 clear spells though. Minimum temperature 10 Celsius, so stay in double figures. For tomorrow we pick up a southeasterly breeze, a freshening one at that, and the air's coming from the continent, so it's slightly drier and slightly warmer. We will notice the difference tomorrow, so we'll see a bit more sunshine and a maximum temperature of 19 Celsius, and that's your forecast.
So drone, just one inch. This drone strike thing. I know it's a little bit heavy, so we're not going to dwell on it. But it's interesting, okay, and it should certainly get us all thinking about preemptive strikes and what does self-defence mean, and the use of drones, and the fact that one of the gentlemen, Rayard Khan, was reported as being killed in July. You seen that?
Yeah.
So Rayard Khan, one of the gentlemen that was supposedly killed in August by the drone strikes, as announced by, I keep going to say Tony Blair, I wonder why, David Cameron. I've just clicked on a Telegraph news story from July, and Rayard Khan was reported as dead then. There's also a picture of him with dead balls. I don't think we should read too much into that.
Who's the source? Is it ISIL giving us the names of people who've passed away? Because, they don't always tell the truth.
What? What are you saying?
Well,
You don't trust those ISIL guys?
Not massively, no.
Alan's in Letchworth. Morning, Alan.
Morning, Ian. How are you?
Do you know what, boss? I've got a really long day. I'm so tired. Yesterday, I went straight from work to Legoland, right? And it sounded like a fun day. It ain't fun. It's hard work. And then you've got the politics as if I was the only adult with 2 kids, okay? And so the bigger kid wanted to go on some of the bigger rides, and the younger kid didn't. And it was constantly trying to broker deals and reach agreements.
Ian, who was the bigger kid? You or the kids?
It weren't me. I flipping hate any of those rides, even the most gentle of rides. It does nothing for me at all. Oh, hello, come in.
Well, I'd have to be the bigger kid to test it out first.
There you go. Well, you can take my kids next time. What you got for us, Alan?
Listen, 2 things. Drone strikes. I think with drone strikes, I think it's picked up by mobile phone telecommunications.
Is that how they do it? I don't no idea how it works.
Yeah. I think so, but I'm not too sure. And they've got fair play. They've gone. They've got wiped the scum off the earth. But second thing, refugees.
Yes.
My sister is going to take 2 Syrian kids. She's going to foster them to give them another chance in life, which I think is really respectful. And I think the kids and families should be first, rather than all the thugs that are at Calais. That is my policy.
Isn't that well? That's really interesting. Why is your sister? I'm going to follow 2 different avenues, if you don't mind, Alan. Why has your sister decided to do that?
My sister, cut a long story short, our mum dumped us and we was adopted, and she wants to give 2 other kids another chance. And she was already in the adoption process anyway, and she's thinking about taking 2 Syrian kids on, brother and sister, or 2 brothers, 2 sisters, whatever. And fair play to her. I don't see why not. You know what I mean? I'll be there to help her as well.
Well, that's very noble of her. Oh, I'm assuming orphans.
Yes, orphans, yeah.
Because that then takes us back to the other. That is brilliant. Well done. I don't think I could do something like that. It's certainly not in my mindset at the moment, and that is a brilliant thing to do. But then let's go back to the thing you said about that we should prioritise the kids and not the thugs at Calais. If we were just to bring kids over, that would mean splitting up families, wouldn't it?
No, I'm just saying orphan kids. Obviously, you know what I mean. It's orphan kids. Kids have been orphans.
But then, if I were in a war-torn country,
and
I'm not in any way having a go. I'm just knowing that we can explore this conversation. If I was in a war-torn country, right, and I knew that there was a country that they're taking orphan kids, I would, and my boys' lives were at risk. I would put them up as orphans. I would put them up as orphans on the chance that they might get a better life and they might not be killed. And that would be the problem. So do you see what I mean? It will be really hard to vet it, and it might separate families.
Yeah, I suppose so. Of course, that bridge when it comes to it. But I'd like to see some of these people who moan about, we shouldn't take them in. I mean, well, these people who moan, stick them in a dinghy, put their kids, or just see if they can cross the Atlantic and see how scared they are. Because I put my hand up to these people who got into some of these boats and took their kids away and crossed the Atlantic. Because the sea's a horrible place to be in, and especially in the middle of it. You know what I mean?
The sea is flipping massive. Listen, Alan, stay there. Scott's in Biggleswade. Morning, Scott.
Yeah, morning. How you doing?
Yeah, I'm good, thanks. What about what Alan's sister's doing? That's pretty amazing, isn't it? Pretty special woman.
As you were just talking about the kids, I mean, that's it. Everyone seems to be thinking about their women and their children. But what about our kids' kids? What's going to happen in 5, 10 years' time, 20 years' time? They've got a procreate attitude. They come over here and they'll have kid after kid after kid. If you look at places like
London, that's life, mate, isn't it? That's life. You know, I mean, we're talking about now. We're not talking about 5 years, 10 years, or 15 years, or 20 years.
No one bothered about our children.
Now.
It's all right to keep caring about refugees and that. There's also a Facebook account that says was up to 90,000 last night, saying that we don't want them. But we only hear about the Facebook account that says that we do want them. You ask the people in the street who wants them. You ask 10 people, they say no. You get one person that says yes, and that's the only one you put on the telly.
Scott, hang on a second.
And I said yes, so that's 2 of us.
Scott, have you asked 10 people in the street?
Everyone I seem to speak to says...
No, because we tend to congregate with people who have similar mindsets as us. You just mentioned asking 10 people in the street. Have you asked the World War I and II? Have you asked 10 people in the street?
I've asked plenty of people in the street. I've asked people at work. We always discuss it.
Again,
and
we
no
tend
one
to
ever seems to disagree.
Again, we tend to surround ourselves. Scott, we've got Scott.
Young men.
Scott, we've got
Why
seven.
don't they
Scott,
stay and fight?
Scott, we've got 7 minutes. There's no rush. We don't need to talk over each other. We tend to work with and surround ourselves with people that think the same thing as us. So to say, well, all my mates agree with me, that doesn't really carry any weight in any argument, I don't think.
My opinion be known in the booze as well, and everyone's welcome to join. You know, it's the most...
Yeah, again, what we tend to, Scott, we tend to the people we hang out with generally have similar views to us about things. So I never buy the argument. I never buy the argument. Well, all my mates agree with me. Well, they're likely to.
Yeah, but you never hear about people that say no. You watch like news or anything, or like Sunday Morning Live on.
We've heard all week everybody saying no. We've heard all week everybody saying no. You know what I mean? Give these kids a chance. You know, for Christ's sake. You know what I mean? It's ridiculous.
Well,
that's what I say about them
out long enough. But Britain wants to give the world a big cuddle. But with cuddling so many people, our arms can't touch each other anymore.
Listen, at the end of the day, right? At the end of the day, we're all born in this world, and we're all born the same way, and we all die. We're all put on this earth, all right. So we should give people a chance, all right. What's going on in Syria with ISIS is terrible. So why should the kids
seems
suffer?
to be slagging this country off for being a horrible, racist place, but everyone seems to want to flock it.
Scott,
it's a Muslim crusade across Europe, and they're doing a damn fine job.
Scott, who's been slagging off this country as a horrible, racist place?
Well, that's all you ever hear is
I have not heard that. I've not heard. Who is? Give me an example of where you've heard people.
It in the papers and that, you know.
Change your papers.
Ashamed of Britain. People are ashamed of Britain's attitude towards refugees and all this. You know, we've opened our doors to refugees for years.
Yeah, and isn't that wonderful?
And we will continue to open our doors to refugees for years. Now, say in 20 years time,
the way these lot are coming.
Hold on. Say in 34 years' time, we have a big fight over here, and we all flee. We all flee to France and Europe. Do you think people
there are so many religions living in this one country? They're not going to get on with each other.
It's called life.
Yeah, and we will all like it life as comfortable as possible.
Yeah, exactly. But it's not. It's not. We'd love it to be as comfortable as it is, but do you know what? For some people, it ain't that comfortable, and they're watching their kids getting blown up. And I, for one, exactly,
or drown.
Yeah,
you know what I mean. Or in the middle of the Atlantic Ocean with nothing around for miles and
all of these women and children that say coming in. You know, most of them I'm seeing is men, young men.
Maybe that's what you're looking for.
And get sent to prison if he didn't.
What did Cameron say? He's going to get families. He's not going to take the men in.
Apparently, there's about 4 million of them displaced all over the place.
Yeah, because there's loads of wars going on, mate. It's really horrible. Exactly, we have a proud tradition, Scott. We have that went well in the past. We have a proud tradition. What about those 10,000 Jewish kids in World War II?
Exactly.
That we took in.
Yeah.
What about them?
We took the children.
Yeah. So you're happy to take the children?
Yeah, but it's another religion thing. It's
well, hang on, Jude. Are you?
Listen,
Scott. No, Scott.
Listen, let me have my say.
You've had your say, mate, and I'm coming back in. You've had your say. Are you Jewish?
No, I'm not Jewish.
Okay, so if it's a religion thing, you would have objected to 10,000 Jewish kids coming over in World War II.
I wouldn't have objected to the children, but the thing is,
so if we had 10,000
attitude that goes with the religious people coming, it's just kid after kid after kid. And
are you talking specifically? I need to nail this down. Scott, I need to nail this down. You're talking specifically about Muslims, aren't you?
Specifically, yeah.
Okay, so because they used to say the same about blacks, about Indians.
But they never ran their
Catholics.
I was working in London the other day, and there was a Muslim protest going down the street on big speakers, chanting for Bangladeshi rights in the UK.
Yeah.
Now, if you want Bangladeshi rights, where do you think the best place would be to go?
Well, not Bangladesh, mate. Do you know how they get treated in Bangladesh? Terribly. Also,
so why do they want Bangladeshi rights in the UK? Also,
Scott, the thing is as well, you know, if you go to Victoria, where I might be going to, in fact, I'm going to later on, there is a square in Victoria in the middle of the road, and there'll be Christians there with plugged-in guitars and amplified microphones. Don't bother me. And the Muslim people with their microphones don't bother me. You can just ignore it. Scott, listen, I've got to go. Thanks for calling in
their country.
Thank you very much indeed. We got there in the end. Ding. Thank you, Scott. Thank you, Alan. Let's have some of this.
Travel news for beds, cards and bugs.
BBC Three Counties Radio.
On the M25 anti-clockwise, there are delays between junction 21 for the M1 and 20 for Kings Langley because of a car fire earlier on the exit slip road. Also anti-clockwise, there are queues from junction 17 for Maple Cross to 16 for the M40, and the A1 southbound is looking slow from Hardy Inn past Stirling and Apex Corners towards Mill Hill Circus. In Watford as well, it's very busy on Beach and Grove at the junction for Escort Road, and on the A41 in Aylesbury, Friarage Road's looking very busy on the speed sensors between the Oxford Road roundabout and the A413 at the Walton Street roundabout. Samantha Brough, BBC Three Counties Radio.
Sammy, thank you very much indeed. We got the line about doing it in their own country in the end. There we go. We'll carry on doing this because it's interesting, but I want to take it above the knee jerk, and let's have a conversation about on an intellectual level about why you think we shouldn't take any refugees. And I'm going to use the word refugees and not migrants because there's a huge difference. Hey, I enjoyed that today. Back tomorrow at 6. Thank you, Just. Thank you, Kelly. Thank you, Catherine. Until then, ta-ta.
Local and vocal across beds, hearts and bucks.
This is BBC Three Counties Radio.
Thank you, Iain. Good morning. Welcome to the JVS show. I'm Jonathan Vernon-Smith. It's Tuesday. It's 9 o'clock. And on today's Big Phone In, whose side are you on in the Tring School skirt debate? The head of Tring School has defended her decision to discipline or send home over 100 girls as their skirts were too short. Sue Collins has explained to BBC Three Counties Radio that the need for skirts to cover the knees has been policy for years, and parents were reminded of this clearly before the term began. However, some parents argue the official school skirt provider sells limited sizes, and taller girls have been unfairly sent away from school because skirts simply cannot cover their knees. They're also angry that some girls targeted for their uniforms were left stranded in the street as their parents were either not told they'd been sanctioned or were not at home ready to pick them up. Well, this morning I want to hear your reaction to this big local story. Whose side are you on in the Tring School skirt debate? Here's my telephone number for your call. It's 03459 455 555.
This is the JVS show
on BBC Three Counties Radio.
So I'll take your call in just a second, but first let's get the latest BBC News at 9 o'clock. Here's Simon Oxley.
The headlines: Government defends Syria drone strike, Bucks Council leaders refugee warning, and Hertfordshire Head defends skirt policy.
BBC Three Counties Radio.
The Defence Secretary Michael Fallon has defended an RAF drone strike in Syria which killed 2 British jihadis last month. The government says it had intelligence that one of the men was actively involved in planning armed attacks in the UK. Mr Fallon said there would have been an outcry if an attack had happened. Meanwhile, MPs will hold an emergency debate today on the migrant crisis and the announcement that up to 20,000 Syrian refugees will be allowed to settle in Britain over the next 5 years. The scheme will apply only to those living in camps in the Middle East, not to those who've already made the journey to Europe. But the leader of Buckinghamshire County Council, Martin Tett, says councils will need money to pay for it.
Government must step up to the plate on this. We're looking here at very large amounts of money over an extended period of time. This is not a few £million on a one-off basis from the overseas aid budget. You know, this is going to be a large amount of money over many, many years to come.
A court has heard how a Bedfordshire scrap metal dealer was beaten to death by 2 men he'd supplied cocaine to. The men deny murder. Adam Fennelly from Dunstable was found dead at Nash Park Travellers site in Buckinghamshire in March this year. More from Gail Sanderson.
Luton Crown Court heard how the 31-year-old had suffered head and facial injuries and had 159 separate injuries on his body. Giving evidence, his 28-year-old partner, Jess Slade, said Mr Fennelly's behaviour changed 2 weeks before he was killed and he started taking drugs. She gave birth to his daughter a month after he died. Addie McAllister from Bolsover in Derbyshire and 30-year-old Gemma Price from the Ridgeway in Kensworth near Dunstable both deny murder. The case continues.
3 people were injured in a 2-car collision which closed the A5 in Milton Keynes yesterday evening. The emergency services, including an air ambulance, were called just before 6 o'clock to the southbound carriageway between Stacey Bushes and central Milton Keynes. 1